Hello and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, not another sports podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon. Here with my co-hosts, Kevin and Jordan.
Yo, what's up? This is Kevin.
Yes, sir, and this is Jordan, and we got our special guest back with us, Coach
Yes,
Chapman.
sir.
Yes, sir.
One of our favorite people.
Yeah,
No
sir.
cap.
Hey, man. We, as always, here we start off with something positive, and my positive thought for this week is we exactly 9 weeks to Alabama football. Roll Tide.
Long time.
My positive of the week was I just came back from Miami. I haven't seen my mom and my brothers in 3 years. My mom was able to see my son for the first time, so it was great. It was refreshing. I found myself again.
It's always good to go home.
All right, my positive is that this past week my dad retired after working for 49 years.
Yes,
go.
sir.
That's the goal.
He will be the new wide receivers coach at Pike County High School.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Retired but not retired.
My positive, the Braves are back winning. We won the series against the Mets, and Don Mattingly got kicked out last night because we beat the Marlins. He definitely had to go.
Hey, man.
Man, I don't care. I don't want to hear that talk about it wasn't on purpose. Hey, Tim, hush it up. You sounding like a Marlins fan talking about, he didn't do it on purpose. He shouldn't have got kicked out. Nah, I don't want to hear that, Ron. This is the 5th time he got hit, and the 3rd time he did it on the first pitch. Nah, stop that. If you're not coaching it, you condoning it. So, nah, get up out of there, Don Mattingly.
Hey, man. I agree. With that being said, we're going to start off our weekly recap. We're going to start off with the Hawks and the Bucks. Hey, man, I don't know why they didn't take advantage of Giannis not playing in Game 5. They came out low intensity. And really what happened in Game 4 was the same thing that happened in Game 5. The Hawks had an explosive first quarter in Game 4, and Milwaukee basically did the same thing. Granted, I don't see too much happening in Game 6 because Chris Middleton, his home and road splits are terrible.
Yes.
Like, bro. Like 32 at home and 19 on the road. So,
Except for the fourth quarter in Game 3.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
hey, man.
That was an
It's an anomaly, right?
You never know what you're going to get from him.
Exactly.
Never know.
So, with that being said, I still got the Hawks in 7. What y'all think about this Hawks Bucks?
I picked the Bucks in 6, but I'm starting to think about this series a little bit more, and I think whoever wins this series is going to win the finals. I think Trae Young would be too much for the Suns, and Giannis would be too much for the Suns, and they could take Ayton out the game. But for this series alone, I think they can. I think we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. But with Milwaukee, I expected Milwaukee to come out and play like they played the other night against the Hawks. Knowing Giannis not playing, knowing Trae Young not playing, Chris Middleton at home, Drew Holiday at home, it was bound for them to play like they did because they played horrible the previous game. And you expected them to come out. And I think Giannis not playing gave them a little bit more little juice to play. And it wasn't really Chris Middleton that won the game for him. It was Brook Lopez. Like, who would have thought Brook Lopez would have came out there and looked like Brooklyn Nets Brook Lopez? People say he trash, but Brook Lopez always been a solid player. He's just that I don't like when big men like to hover around the three-point line a lot. And he don't make threes that often. So he needs to do more of what he did. And Drew Holiday actually stepped up. Someone Jordan hates so much for some reason, man. You can't stand Drew Holiday.
He's not an elite defender, bro.
He has been an elite defender.
He has been. This playoff run, he did not look like an elite defender. Because every round he's gotten cooked up.
Yes, but when they need him, he shows up, and that's all that matters. When they really need you, do you show up? And he has. So you can't take that away from him.
I don't know if that's the definition of great. But go ahead and finish your point.
I'm not saying like. Anyway, at times Drew Holiday has shown he's been a great defender, and in this playoffs he hasn't been it consistently. But when they need him the most, he has shown why they brought him there, and that's what I'm saying.
I feel like.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
You don't like Drew Holiday because his mask outsold your mask for Halloween.
Hey, man. I can start using these Coach Dillard jokes on you now. Just because Thanksgiving is a while away don't mean you can start talking.
Fair.
Hilarious.
Oh, boy. But, yeah. It's not that I hate Drew Holiday. I just think that he's overrated. I don't think that he's as good as a lot of people are saying that he is. I'm not gonna go out there and say he's a great defender. I'm not saying he's a terrible defender either.
Wait, hold up. Let Coach Chapman know that you said that there's no such thing as defense in the NBA, and there's no such thing as a great defender, and nobody plays defense.
Nobody plays
That's
defense in the NBA. All of these defenders are above average at best.
Well, my wife would agree with him. She says there's no defense in the NBA, and she loves NBA basketball.
I don't agree with that.
If you look at it from a standpoint of what's happening in the Hawks series, all right, in Game 4 without Trey, with Giannis still playing, the Hawks knew that they had to give superior effort because that was the only way they could make up what they were going to miss.
Right.
That effort carried over when Giannis went out, and they ran the Bucks off the court. They were up 10 when he went out, and then they just destroyed him.
Right.
All right. So then you have a day to sit and think about it, and then you play the next day. Well, they're going home. All right. You've just expended a ton of energy on your home court. They didn't. Okay. They fly back to Milwaukee. They're getting ripped to shreds by sports talk radio, newspaper. Just heard a bunch of people in State Farm Arena talking about Hawks in 6. Speaking of which, Milwaukee fans, y'all are lame for trying to copy that junk.
Right.
And then they come out and they play their best game. But what happened when Giannis isn't on the court is the ball doesn't stop. So what you saw the other night was they were able to penetrate, kick, move the ball, make the extra pass, do all of those things. And the Hawks, as Nate McMillan said, no defense outside, no defense inside, no help defense, just no defense.
Right.
So, and it's hard to play with no intensity, and they came out flat. I don't know how that happens, but hey, it's a 7-game series for a reason.
Right.
I picked the Hawks in 6 in the first series against the Knicks, so I was wrong by a game. I took the Hawks in 7 against the 76ers, and I took the Hawks in 7, this series. So hey, man, my prediction's still alive.
I'm saying
Still on track. I expect the Hawks to win this next game.
Yeah. I mean,
and Giannis not playing. They already ruled him out.
yeah. I don't know. I feel like I was a little bit disappointed in game, 5? When I said in the chat before the game started, John Collins wants to be a max player. He has to give max effort. And it was like late in the second half, Bogdan Bogdanovic led the team with 9 points. Onyeka Okongwu was the 4th leading scorer with 4
Shout out to the rookie.
points. No cap. He be hooping. But he had 4 points. And he was the 4th leading scorer.
Hold on a second.
That's not going to cut it. What?
Bogdanovic had 28.
No, I'm saying it was late in the second quarter,
okay.
and he had the leading scorer was Bogdanovic with 9.
But John Collins benefit more when Trey is in the game.
Here's the thing with Collins, and I bag on Collins a lot on social media because of he turned down $90 million. If you want to give me $90 million right now, I'll take it and just keep on walking.
Right.
That's neither here nor there. First of all, Collins gets destroyed under the rim and gets no respect from NBA refs.
Yeah.
All right, he got killed the other night several times, and we can talk about foul discrepancy and all that, but that's just one of the things that happens in the NBA. But the point with the Hawks is that Collins can't realistically get his own shot.
Right.
So when you talk about Trey being on the court, if he's not going to be on the court and it's still not clear whether he'll play tonight or not, I would think that he's not going to play. They've got to do stuff for him. They've got to get him involved, because when he gets involved, then you see him flying in from the rafters and dunking on people on the rebound, because he's in the game. You can't let him try to get his. Someone's got to get him in a spot so that he can get his early, see something go through the rim, and then he'll play.
Same thing like Julius Randle type thing.
Yeah, the Knicks tried to let Julius Randle win that first series, and he couldn't do it because, and that's another thing. I think Capella was tired of hearing about Julius Randle. And Hunter being out kills us, because he was a guy that played really well against Randle in that first series. But I need the Clint Capella that played in Series 1 to show up in Series 3, because I can realize, playing against Embiid is different because that guy is a stud.
Right.
I mean, he can score from anywhere. He's huge. He's got handles. He's quick. But we're talking about Brook Lopez and some dude named Bobby Portis.
Hey, man, shout out to Bobby Portis. He hooped when he was at Arkansas.
He did. He also was really good in Coach Carter.
And punching people in the face.
But the thing about it is that you're not playing Joel Embiid. You got to go out and play these guys.
Right.
You got to play them and make them work. You know, the fact that they drive to the basket and we have 2 guys covering a guy on the baseline and 3 other guys standing around watching the 2 other guys cover that dude and letting 2 guys run just free down the lane for a dunk. I mean, if I was as tall as Brook Lopez, I'd dunk the ball too.
Right.
Yeah. And that's not his game. That's even more reason for Capella to step up, because that's not his game. Brook Lopez wants to be on the perimeter. So if you letting him just get to the hole and dominate in the inside, you're done. But I also think Capella is at his best when Trae Young is on the court.
There's no doubt.
Because I feel like both of those big men, John Collins and Clint Capella, they feed off of the pick and roll, the alley hoops, Trae penetrating and giving and making space, making the defense focus on him, and he facilitating to them. I feel like without him, they're limited. They're not going to be able to really do much. John Collins is not a three-point shooter. He's not a person who gets assists. He really just relies on lobs and getting it in the post. And if you don't have nobody to facilitate it, I don't think it's going to work for the Hawks. So if Trae Young doesn't play tonight, it might look kind of dark for them.
I don't know. It depends on if Lou Will get going early.
That's not going to, I don't expect that from Lou Will.
I'm just saying, he just did it 2 games ago. What do you mean?
Yes. How many times did he did that this season?
He's a 3-time 6th man of the year, bro. He still got it in him. It's still Lou Will.
Okay,
bro.
so when I say that about Drew Holiday, everybody act like I'm crazy, but we can have a hope by Lou Will.
Well, you know the key to the Hawks. You know, we can talk about Collins, we can talk about Trae's injury, we can talk about Lemon Pepper Lou, we can talk about Capella or Onkongwu. The key is Herter and Reddish.
Kevin, don't hurt her.
All right, if Herter can get the ball to go, especially from deep, then the Hawks become a much different team.
Right.
Yeah.
And I need somebody, I said this on Twitter the other night, I need somebody to make a shot fake. Take it right down the middle of the lane and drop one on Brook Lopez's head in the middle of the lane. I mean, I want to see somebody dunk on that guy. I'm so tired of watching him dunk and then look ugly.
They really should have just took. In reality, Brook Lopez shouldn't even be a factor in this series. He shouldn't be a factor.
I told you he was gonna be unplayable against Brooklyn, but Kyrie got hurt.
They didn't even play DeAndre Jordan in that series, so.
I mean, I feel like if Kyrie wouldn't have got hurt, he would have been eventually become unplayable. And now Trae Young is hurt, so can't really expose him on the pick and roll like you want to.
You know, the Hawks had some success going small in a couple of games, so I wouldn't be surprised if you looked up and you saw a lineup that had Lou, Herter, Reddish, Collins, and Dunn. Now, Dunn hasn't played well. Just listen to me. Dunn hasn't played well. But for matchups on the perimeter, the length that you have right there would make it really hard for them to do the drive and dish game, because you've got length through the lane and quickness. Yeah. So, and you know, you don't know how much getting dropped in the eye the other night, you know, hurt Capella in Game 5, because he didn't look like himself.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna move on out west. We got the Clippers and the Suns. I said it earlier. Well, earlier in the playoffs that I think this was the Suns' year. Jordan picked them after the Lakers series, but yeah, I feel like it's Chris Paul year. And me and Kevin were talking about this the other night on the way to the Hawks viewing party. If Chris Paul gets a ring this year, does that make him the all-time point guard? And by point guard, I mean true facilitating point guard. Because yes, we can call Steph Curry a point guard, but if he played back in the day, he would have been a shooting guard. So with that being said, I don't think it's gonna be as easy of a matchup coming out. Whoever comes out the East, because Ayton is gonna be a big factor. Devin Booker is gonna be a big factor, and Chris Paul can still facilitate. And as you see, he can go get you 40. He got 40 the other night. So I still think whoever they play is probably gonna go 7, just because the NBA need that money. But anyway, how y'all feel about the Clippers and the Suns series?
What was the discussion y'all had?
If Chris Paul win the ring, will he be solidified as the best point guard all time? Because most people already have him in his top five. I have him number 4. Yeah. So, but I don't think that would be possible, because Magic Johnson is still the best point guard all time.
Okay, I was just making sure that was understood.
Does Oscar,
I meant
Oscar
2.5.
Robinson still
Oscar
Robinson still exists.
he
That's
played
what
like-
That's why I had
Hey,
him
man.
at 4.
I was just making sure he wasn't number one. I didn't care about the rest.
I had him. I had him 4. I had Magic 1, Steph 2, Oscar 3, Chris 4. I don't. Kind of hard to argue that.
Hey,
You know,
man.
it's funny to me. I'm glad the Suns won. All right, you know, shout out to Chris Broussard on saying that. You know, if the Hawks won the championship, it would be an asterisk because they had the easiest pass. But you know, the Suns didn't play anybody with any injuries. Cough, cough. But that being said, you know, I think it would be great. And I'm an Atlanta fan, and I've seen a Super Bowl, a World Series. I've seen Georgia Tech win a national championship. I've seen them play in a national championship basketball game. They got crushed, but I did see it, and I'd love to see the Hawks play in the finals. That's one of the things I haven't seen. You know, I think it would be a really cool thing to see if they went back all those years ago when the Hawks drafted Marvin Williams over Chris Paul, and see if that became a storyline. Because we were talking about it the other day, saying there's not many storylines for Suns Hawks,
right?
But the one would be Chris Paul.
Yeah.
So you know, in that for that other series, you know, just watching that series take place, you know, shout out to Paul George, because even though I know he missed free throws, and everybody's going back on, but they're not in that position
If it wasn't
without him.
right?
I mean, he took the load of having to play that without Leonard, and he did a great job of keeping them in games. And then, I mean, they were gassed.
Coach,
Yeah.
the biggest moment. The biggest moment.
I agree.
You missed both of them.
I agree.
Hey, man.
The biggest moment, you missed both of them. You lost the series because of that. So you are pandemic Pete. We can't give you horseshoes type thing because LeBron. We always talk about why LeBron, KD gets mentioned because those are the people that we have to have as examples. LeBron goes out there and give his all, an average triple-double in the finals, and be the best person on both sides of the court on both teams. He still lost. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Now we sitting here with Paul George saying, he tried his best. And no, we can't do that. You missed both free throws. You cost your team the series. Your team was actually the better team than Phoenix. Your team was actually the better team. Kawhi was there. Kawhi there? Definitely.
Okay, he
Kawhi,
was.
Kawhi
He wasn't.
This
What are you
man
talking
said-
about?
No.
If AD was there, then they would have.
No, I'm saying I feel personally the Clippers was better than the Suns in this series. They didn't capitalize on moments to win the game, especially the 2 free throws is the biggest
You
thing.
could have went back to LA 1-1 at that point in time.
Huh?
They could have gone back to LA 1-1.
Yeah.
And that's a fair point.
It could have been a lot differently if you make those free throws. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of is a game of momentum. I don't think the reason I said I thought Phoenix wasn't gonna get to the finals because I felt like they were young. Even with Chris Paul, they're still young. They still had a lot to do. Now, shout out to them. Every championship team can have an asterisk on it technically.
Yeah.
So you can sit there and they did benefit from these teams being injured. Yes, that's a fact. You can't say that's not.
That's true.
But they did win, so I give them the credit. But I just don't think they're ready all the way. If depending on who makes it to the finals. If it's the Bucks, I feel like the Bucks have it because they got a little more experience than everybody else.
Well, the Bucks, they have historically choked in the playoffs.
Yes.
So they haven't played in the finals in forever. The Hawks haven't played in the finals since '58. Plus, one of the things that nobody's looking at right now is Phoenix is sitting in Phoenix resting.
That could be a bad thing, though.
Now, it could be, but think about this. The Hawks, at the end of their series with the Sixers, they had the Game 7. All right? Played on the road. Then they went straight to Milwaukee and played Game 1. Then they got 40-burgered in Game 2. You could tell they were tired.
Right.
All right, then they come home. Trey gets hurt. They win Game 4. They played flat and uninspired. All right? They've been on the road a lot.
Right.
They've been on the road a lot. And that extra day that Milwaukee got, people will say, well, that's just one day. It's a big deal.
Exactly.
Now you're looking at, if the Hawks win tonight, which I think they will, there's going to be a Game 7 on, Monday? So then you've got the Suns sitting there. Anything that's hurting is getting treatment.
Right.
Your legs that you've got from running up and down the court, because let's face it, the Western game and that thing is a lot more open than what the East is.
Right.
All right, so all those guys have been running up and down the court are getting a rest. You're looking at a thing where whoever wins the East series, if it goes 7, they're playing against a team that's sitting there rested, waiting.
Like,
and has had a chance to get game plans for both teams, how they want to play who. And you got Giannis with a knee that you don't know if it's going to respond at all, and Trey's foot that even if he plays, tonight or Monday or whatever, it's one false step away from being right back on the bench. So you got to look at the Suns that's sitting in the driver's seat right here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a valid point. But you don't think, like, say Trey come back or Giannis come back, they're okay. They win the series or whatnot. They already been playing. They have the momentum, whatnot. You've been sitting for a week or whatnot. This is the perfect opportunity for the Bucks or the Hawks to steal a game or two on the road.
Okay,
on the road.
You steal the game on the road. But then, once that initial energy burst from being in the finals, once it calms back down, the team with the most rest leading into it, once you play a game, you're back in that flow. Now, we've seen this in the past where somebody comes off and they play and they have a great, we're not talking about pitchers, so we could be way overthinking this.
Yeah.
All right? I mean, it's not like, if I'm, like when the Braves won it in 95 and they swept the Reds, the first thing I thought was, they're not going to see live pitching. This is terrible. All right? And they didn't really crush the ball against the Indians in that series. But the Indians, they had to face the greatest trio of pitchers in the history of baseball.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, we're not, I may be way overlooking it, but I know one thing. You guys have played in passing league tournaments where you play one game and then you rest and you play a game. But then when you get to that point where you lose in a tournament and you have to play game after game after game, there's that one team that won that's sitting there waiting on you.
Like, yep, we got this.
Yeah, and it gets ugly fast.
Yep.
The finals definitely gonna come down to the Hawks or Bucks supporting cast. Because me personally, I think the Hawks or the Bucks gonna have the best player on the court, regardless. Giannis is the best player on the court. Trae Young, to me, is better than Devin Booker.
Is he better than Chris Paul?
Is he better than Chris Paul?
I think Chris Paul is a more consistent shooter.
Wait, are we just finna sit here and act like Devin Booker isn't better than Chris Paul?
I just asked a question.
No, I'm saying like he had to think about it for that one, but he immediately said that he's not better.
I'm not talking about like talent wise. At this point in time, Trae Young's better than Chris Paul talent wise. I think Chris Paul, just being a veteran, experience, that's a skill to me.
Exactly. I feel like the experience weighs a little bit more though.
But it's only one guy.
I got you.
It's only one guy.
But okay, it's one guy. Now you take Chris Paul, and you take Booker, and you take Ayton, and then you take their supporting cast, which has been really, really good, really good coming in. All right, and if you let's take the Bucks. I don't want to be super homer right now and start with the Hawks, so let's take the Bucks. All right, the Bucks have Giannis fully healthy, okay, and then Middleton. All right, do you think that Giannis and Middleton is enough to handle Booker, Paul, and Ayton?
With Ayton, I think you can bring Ayton out. I think you can put bodies on him. I think he's kind of benefited with AD not being around. Jordan pointed out even with AD was in the game, Ayton kind of had a good game. But I feel like in a consistent series, if you can draw him out from inside the paint, and you can just put a body on him and limit him, I think that you can, and it becomes a series of Devin Booker and Chris Paul having to beat you. I think the Hawks and Bucks could definitely overcome that. The key, that's why I keep saying the key is Ayton. If you can put bodies on Ayton and you can distract him and keep him off the boards and keep him from shooting pretty much 100% from the field, because he get all his buckets around the basket. If you can isolate him and make Devin Booker and Chris Paul beat you, you can beat this team. Chris Paul is not dropping 40 points again. He's not doing that. That was solely just that desire in him that he felt the finals right there that he never felt before. Those was one of those one in a lifetime games he had. I don't think he's coming out there and dropping 40, 50 in no finals. Is he going to be good? Yes.
You don't have to, no.
That's what I'm saying. But if you make it just him and Booker and force Chris Paul to have to go out there and score 40 points a night because Ayton is not dominating you on the boards and not getting 18, 20 points a night, and it's on Devin Booker to score a lot of points, it's on Chris Paul to score a lot of points, neither one of them play defense.
Are you sure Chris Middleton can match that every night?
not every night, but Chris Middleton comes in the moments where they really need him the most. He hasn't shown me at a time that he didn't come up clutch when they needed him.
Are you talking about just this year?
This
or?
year. This playoff run he has, I'll give you that.
This playoff run he hasn't. Giannis has been the one. And so far, Giannis hasn't been in a situation where he has to go shoot threes and be the captain savior of the Bucks because Chris Middleton has stepped up a lot.
What about Game 7 when he missed 2 shots in overtime and turned the ball over?
Talk about Chris Middleton?
Mm-hmm.
That was this year? And
yes.
They won the game, but they won the game.
But you just said, but that was Giannis who made the game-winning shot.
I'm saying it's been.
But you just said that when they needed him the most, he came up, but he didn't.
9 times out of 10, he has shown up in this playoffs. And if Giannis showed up, I'm just saying. Like,
I mean, my only question was, you said you haven't seen it this year where they needed him the most, and he hasn't shown up. I gave you an example. And then you just said that they won.
If Giannis is balling out in overtime, they don't need him the most, obviously.
Giannis didn't ball out in overtime.
If Giannis saved them, he did what they needed him to do. Obviously, they didn't need. Am I talking?
I get what you're saying.
The game-winner basket.
Giannis.
Okay.
You just said every time. You just said every time they gave him the ball and he needed to show up.
They needed him.
Did they not need him? Did they not need him?
He's saying
they gave him the ball 2 possessions in a row. They needed him to score. He did not score. So who did they give the ball to? Giannis.
Okay.
Is that so hard to understand?
Is what I'm saying so hard to understand? I just said if it becomes a matchup between Chris Middleton and Giannis and Chris Paul and Devin Booker, I'm taking Giannis and Chris Middleton. So obviously I don't care who's taking the shot. Those two, if you isolate Ayton,
literally you just said every time.
If you would have said that the first time,
exactly. If you would have started from there,
I know what I'm saying. No, I know what I'm saying. It's not that difficult to understand.
I knew what you were saying. I was just waiting for you to bring it back around.
I know what I'm saying. I'm saying when it comes down to those two, I'm taking Giannis and Chris Middleton over Chris Paul and Devin Booker. The key to that series is Ayton.
I'm taking 2 people who can shoot over one who.
Yeah, you
can
said
shoot
that against Brooklyn too. Let me look that back up.
Yeah, and then one person decided not to put his feet behind the line.
Yeah, you also.
And then we would have had a whole completely different conversation if Kevin Durant actually decided to have his feet behind the 3-point line.
Did you see that shot?
I did. I saw it. Okay. I'm not getting back into this.
Yeah,
I get it.
He didn't even look. He just turned around.
It was a great shot. Yes, I get it.
So you're saying that the guy that made that shot should have been aware of where he was standing?
All I'm saying is if his feet were behind the line, we wouldn't be talking about Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday.
He also said
Giannis right now. We would be talking about KD and the Bucks in the final.
He also said Joe Harris was going to have a good game, and I said Joe Harris has been playing trash this whole series.
And you also told me that Chris Middleton was going to have a good game, and he had 2 minutes of goodness.
You probably blame.
So let's not act like all of that when the.
Huh?
I said he probably blamed Patrick Mahomes.
Kevin blamed Patrick Mahomes
not blocking.
Kevin blamed Patrick Mahomes. I told him before the game even started that they wasn't gonna do nothing.
I do blame Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes gonna go out there and be Superman anyway.
Yeah,
he was. The fact that he didn't get sacked 35 times was amazing.
Hey man.
If
the game played out exactly how I said it would.
You so-called a GOAT, like they make you are. You should be able to.
Who in this room has played that position?
You?
Let me just explain this to you. You can be the best quarterback on the planet. You can be on a team that's undefeated. And if your offensive line can't block the front 4 of an opposing defense, you are average. Look at Brady in the first half of the Super Bowl against the Falcons. Very average because he was getting hit every snap. When they got that, when the Falcons, the kiss of death for the Falcons in the Super Bowl was picking off that pass, because their offense was off the field forever, and that just let the Patriots pile up. The Falcons, I think they ran, 99 plays they ran?
Mm-hmm.
So then there was no pass rush, and he picked them apart. In the games against the Giants, when he was getting completely hounded every snap, he had very average games. The last Super Bowl, Mahomes, he had no help up front, and then Andy Reid didn't help him out by running 5-man protections the whole game and not keeping anybody in.
Yeah,
but it's the same thing. Your supporting cast can make you look great, or it can make you look average.
So you say that. So if your receivers don't get separation and don't catch the ball, is that your fault?
No, that's probably more on the design of the play.
Okay. I just want to know because Lamar Jackson is not a good quarterback. He can't throw the ball. All of that. I'm
You
just
gotta
saying.
understand that Lamar's offense is not dictated around getting receivers open. It's been totally dictated on running the ball and controlling the ball and using his talents. If they ever got it, I think Lamar would be awesome. He showed it in college when they ran the spread. He can throw the football. I don't know why people have this thing that Lamar's the fourth running back on the team.
Thank you.
It's a ridiculous comment because he's a special player. But it reminds me so much of Vic, where there are people like when Vic was in Atlanta, when Dan Reeves was the head coach. Dan Reeves did things on offense to accentuate what Vic was good at.
Right.
We never had a problem with Vic throwing the ball when Reeves was when Reeves was here because Reeves tailored his offense to what Vic did. Reeves called offense. Reeves been in the league for 4,000 years. All right, he was the Moses of the NFL. Okay, and he changed the way he called plays for Vic. All right, and then when they hired Mora and he brought in the West Coast, they tried to take Vic and put him into a box. And they said, hey, make a read. If you don't read, if it's not there, run. Now, we can debate on whether he studied film, whether he read his playbook. We're not getting into that. It's the job of everyone. And I mean everyone. It doesn't matter if it's in baseball, football, basketball, soccer. You want to get into an argument with a soccer fan about how you set up a game and how you run your setup on the field, those people will destroy you.
Right.
And they would destroy me because that's why I would never get into an argument about it. But you look at it from this standpoint. Right now, I was looking at it last night. If you are any coach, you have to give your team the best chance to win. That means that sometimes you have to take what you know and put it in your back pocket so that you run what's best for what your players can do. I mean, y'all know Coach Hughes, and y'all know he likes to throw the football. But in 2007, we were, Kyle was coming off of a knee injury at quarterback. We had, one really legitimate receiver, but we had three great running backs.
Yes.
So we ended up running a shotgun look with three running backs in the backfield in what we called trio, and had two wide receivers. And we ran the ball probably 75% of the time the entire year. And Coach Hughes didn't want to do that, but we did it because it fit our personnel. So if you want to talk about Lamar, they're trying to fit their run game to what he does best. But they've got to match their passing game with their run game. There should be no reason why they don't rip people apart in the NFL because you'd have to play both ways.
Yeah.
It's the same argument here in Atlanta. I love Matt Ryan. I love him. I'll defend him. But I'm going to tell you this much. The last 2 years with Dirk Cutter, when you want to drop 7, 9-step drops, and you want to run all these vertical routes with an offensive line that's not constructed to do that, it makes everybody look bad. It made Julio look bad. It made Ridley look bad. It made the tight ends look bad. And they can say, well, they had great numbers. Yeah, but if you watch those games, those were ugly games.
Yep. A lot of games we should have won, too.
Yeah, they were ugly games. But here's the thing. The Chicago game you don't win because you took 11 seconds or something like some nonsense, 11 or 19 seconds off the clock because they challenged you to run the football and you wouldn't do it. I mean, they just said, hey, we're going to put all these people in the box and make you run the football. And then there was, you had a run set. You were trying to throw out of a run set where they were just press man and had 2 people to cover. They had 4 people to cover 2 people. And people were thinking, well, I don't understand why they couldn't complete a pass. Well, there's the reason why they can't complete a pass. It all goes hand in hand. You want to talk about Capella plays better with Trey. John plays better with Trey. Well, all of that stuff comes in because of the system that changed when they brought Nate on as coach. All right? That 60-win team for the Hawks. Budenholzer, who everybody in Atlanta hates, he ran the perfect system for that team. They were space and pace. And they shot the 3. And you had Corver and, Horford, Teague, and those guys. It all goes hand in hand. Anything we talk about here, when we start, bagging on one person right now, it all goes back to what everybody else is doing. I read a thing last night from Stan Van Gundy about Zion and about how Zion is going to be a beast when New Orleans puts more shooters around him so it lets him operate where he's good at. And it was like, hey, that makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense.
So, think about it from this standpoint. Why did Brook Lopez dominate the other night? Because Giannis wasn't in there, so he could get back into where he feels comfortable at. Giannis in there, he's taking the ball to the basket, and so they're clearing everything out. So now Lopez is, he can shoot the 3, but that's not really what he should be doing.
Right.
And you saw, I mean, he had 40 points in 4 games, and he had 33 in Game 5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, it all goes down to the setup. You know, you can talk about it from anybody. You know, it is from Brady to Lamar Jackson. You can go back and look at Vic. You can look at Tony Romo and see just, you know, when things are focused on doing what your players, the people that you need your team to function around, when they're focused on them, you know, then you're more successful. It would have been dumb for us to come out and run the triple option with Drew at quarterback, right?
Yes.
But hey, I'm a coach. I'm a triple option coach, so that would have been completely stupid. We would have not won. You know, we wouldn't have been playing in that spot.
No.
And the same way, if all Norcross would have done was come out and run toss sweeps to Kamara, they would have had success, but it wouldn't have been as successful as they have with him in space all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all, you know, everything we talk about right here. You can always draw a parallel to something further along down the road. Whoever they're playing with, who's coaching them, whatever.
We're going to switch gears to baseball for a second. The MLB starters, the All-Star Game starters were announced this week. So with that being said, I'm going to read them off right quick. In the NL, at catcher, we got Buster Posey from the Giants. At first base, we got the MVP. Second base, Adam Frazier from the Pirates. Third base, Nolan Arenado from the Cardinals. Shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr. from the Padres. The outfielders are Ronald Acuna Jr., Nick I'm going to let y'all
Castellanos.
There you go, coach. And Jesse Winker from the Reds. Both of them are from the Reds. And in the AL, we got Salvador Perez from the Royals. At first, we got Vladdy Jr. from the Blue Jays. Marcus Seaman from the Blue Jays, who tore through Atlanta when they played here. Third, we got Rafael Devers from the Red Sox. Shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. Outfield, Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, and Hernandez. Teoscar Hernandez.
Teoscar.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Another person that tore through the Braves.
Yes. That whole team.
I told him we was at the game. Run Teoscar Hernandez is fine.
I put that whole series on our bullpen because we were winning in every game.
Did you say series or season? Which one?
Both.
Just a mix.
Our starting pitching has been fine, and it's really been our bullpen. Our setup guys. And, well, I don't know. Will Smith almost blew it last night.
The right word was bullpen.
Yes.
And bullpen management.
Right.
Josh Tomlin should never be in a one-run game.
Ever. He just make him the bullpen coach. Because apparently he's a good coach or player coach, but him pitching, he's guaranteed to give up a home run.
He's our Tim Tebow.
No.
He can lead, but he can't play.
No cap.
Wow.
That boy Tim Tebow can play.
There's the bus that you just ran over Tim Tebow with.
Go Gators, man.
Spoken like a true Alabama fan.
Roll Tide.
Tim Tebow, one of the best college players ever.
Yeah, but in that NFL though.
You only get 5 years eligibility, Kevin. You only get 5 years of college eligibility.
I say he's one of the greatest college football players ever.
That's what I'm saying. You're not a college football player no
Now
more.
ask them about Alabama quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, then they'll start going down.
Hey,
AJ didn't get a
They
chance.
had 5 years too, right?
AJ
I'm
didn't
just
get a chance.
saying, AJ didn't get a chance.
I don't see
If it
none
wasn't
of
for
them
that-
winning no playoff
If
games.
it wasn't for
Mac
that
Jones
corn
gonna be
dog,
fine.
if it wasn't for that corn dog, we would have won a playoff game.
And I'm just saying, he did fumble.
What's Hill?
Yeah.
Jeremy Hill,
Yeah.
I think for the Bengals.
Yeah.
Yep.
LSU guy.
That corn dog, he fumbled the
boy.
ball.
Anyway.
Said success. Nah, I'm good.
All I'm saying, Tim Tebow gonna go out there and catch 2 to 4 touchdowns. Get my $50 from Mr. Ricky.
You think he's gonna make the team?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Duh.
He's a Jacksonville hero.
The roster spot
His
was built
coach
into the
is his
invitation.
dad, basically. He's
yeah.
from all intents and purposes. Everybody's saying he's out there. He looks fit. He's doing well. He's catching touchdowns in practice. There's no way in the world Tim Tebow's not gonna make this team.
All right.
We talking about practice.
Okay.
Not a game.
I caught
Right.
2 touchdowns in practice. Coach Chapman, you remember that?
Yeah, I think I threw it to you on scout team.
No cap. No cap.
Anyway, the all-star starters. Who should not be there? That's
Tatis. He can hit.
Bro,
okay,
hold
starters.
on. We're not finna just campaign for
Hold
Disney
on,
being the
look,
starter.
No.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
All right, so here's the thing. There's a name on this list,
Let's see.
on the AL list.
Aaron Judge.
No. Listen to me. I'm done with it. I'm not going to talk about who shouldn't be a starter because it's a popularity contest for the most part. But there's a name on the AL list that I think would look really good in Atlanta, and it's a dire need for the Braves right now.
Mike Trout.
Nope.
Don't say Aaron Judge.
No.
I say I don't want him.
Is it catcher? Salvador Perez?
Salvador Perez.
Yeah.
Salvador Perez would solve a huge issue the Braves have right now. We are, I looked at it last night. You got Ronnie, Freddie, Ozzy,
Ricky and Mike.
and I like the girl. Who cares who you like? All right. Anyway,
Shout out to Bobby Brown. He had a versus last week. Well,
Last night.
Thursday. Yeah.
but if you get past the first four, and they're having to hit Dansby 5, and that just shows you the shape our lineup is in right now. But our outfield right now is in shambles.
Yes.
And although Heredia and Almonte have done a fair job, we both know that they were never designed to be playing in Atlanta.
Right.
That was supposed to be Pache and Ozuna.
Mm.
And then when, Darno got hurt, we've put a kid in a position that he wasn't ready to be in, and it's starting to show now. His at bats are bad, and he's struggling big time because they put so much emphasis now on him having to learn how to play defense with live bullets. This is not a AAA game where if you give up a pass ball, nobody sees it, or a double A game. You're in the middle of the show, and if you give up an extra base, it ends up biting you.
Right.
And that's what's happened to Contreras right now. So you got to improve that position, because if you get better there, then you got to think you're going to get better on the mound.
Right.
And it may not be with the starters, because those guys are all really good pitchers and have shown they can navigate a lineup. But those guys in the bullpen need help.
Very much so.
And when you're looking at the plate and you've got a journeyman catcher in Smith and you've got a rookie in Contreras, there's no help coming from there.
Right.
And Smith should be the guy that can help him, but then you turn around, he got a hit off of DeGrom the other day, and I passed out and missed 3 innings because I was like, that guy made contact.
Right. My thing is, every year we've been successful, we've always had success behind the plate. Darno was swinging the bat good last year.
And he was starting to swing good this year, and then he got hurt.
Right.
And if you look at baseball's played up the middle. They bag on Dansby for his hitting, and he deserves it, because he's changed his swing to try to hit the ball out of the ballpark instead of hit the ball gap to gap, and it's killed his average. But he plays great defense.
Right.
Ozzy's played great defense. We've had really, like you said, really good starting pitching for a couple of months now.
Right.
All right, there's a revolving door in center field. You can put a Gold Gloves player out there and Ender Inciarte and make it really good defensively, but then you suffer on offense.
Yep.
You put Heredia out there and you get a little bit more offense, but then you don't get as much range on defense.
Right.
And then you've got Almonte, who was hitting 400 in AAA, and he started off really good, but right now, his best attribute at the plate is his patience.
Right.
So if you're strong up the middle, and right now we're really strong in 3 spots. All right, and we've got an issue behind the plate. And I was looking at it there. I said, "What's more important, left field or behind the plate?"
Right.
And to me, if you've got a solid catcher that can erase a base runner, and then if you hit 260 and you hit 20 home runs, you're a great catcher.
Right.
Because you're going to take a beating back there. It's a 162 game season. So if you catch 135 games,
Right.
Think about all the times you get a foul tip off of a wrist, or you get one off of a shoulder, and then you're going to go up there and have to swing the bat. That's probably the worst part of their job. I mean, because being able to hit BP is one thing. I can go hit BP right now,
Right.
25, but I'm not trying to hit 100-mile-an-hour, dotted up fastballs in the outside corner by DeGrom.
Right.
So when you said Salvador Perez, I was like, he would be great.
Yeah. That's what we need. Even before Darno got there, but Ken came back and we had success behind the plate.
And you had Tyler Flowers, who had a couple of really good years before arthritis did him in.
Yeah.
Kurt Suzuki.
Suzuki was really good. We've had you guys are way younger than I am, so you guys don't remember what it was like in the 80s when they were running out, Bruce Benedict and Biff Pocarova, and then Ozzie Virgil, and then in '91 when the Braves went to the series, they ran out Greg Olson, and no one had ever heard of Greg Olson. He had a great year.
Right.
He was an all-star that year. And then after Greg Olson, you had Damon Berryhill, and then you went into Javi Lopez.
Yeah.
So,
I know those people. I was waiting on it.
but to me, the biggest issue right now is you got to figure out how to solidify an outfield spot and how to solidify catcher.
Yes.
And I don't think you can wait for Darno to come back.
Right.
I think you got to do it now.
When is he supposed to be back?
August.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, they had a picture of big pitcher hit them home runs. That guy.
Cologne.
Enoa.
Oh, yeah.
So Enoa was out throwing long toss, and my daughter was in the room. She was like, "All right, he's getting ready to pitch." I was like, "No. He's got a long way to go." So
Right.
she was like, "Why?" I was like, "Because he's just now starting throwing again. He's got to go back, pitching games, build up stamina, arm strength." I said, "We won't see him until middle of August." She was
Right.
like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, that's just the way it is." That's
Basically starting spring training.
Because he wanted to punch a bench.
Ah.
That's why.
Anyway.
But shout out to Aaron Judge, though. I don't think we deserve any All-Stars. I have stopped watching baseball because I stopped watching baseball a month ago when I realized the Yankees are constantly going to hurt my heart. We're sitting at 41-39, and we like 4th, 5th in the AL right now. I know we're not making the playoffs, it looked like, and I'm going to have to end up paying some more sodas to Jordan.
But I still haven't got yet.
So it's all it's pissing me off. I don't think
you realize there's a whole half a season to go, right?
Oh no, they done.
we done.
We
We done.
Oh, they done.
We done.
Yeah, they done.
This lineup we
Talking
got.
about them,
This
they done.
lineup we got is not it. Garrett Cole is a great pitcher.
He ain't got the sticky fingers.
But he don't
no
have
more.
the. I was just about to say he don't have the sticky fingers no more. He's been up and down. You know, had his worst month since they started doing
Since he pitched in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. They actually, I don't know. Pittsburgh sent some voodoo on him for
Okay.
leaving their squad or something.
Well, they traded him.
He found out about
they traded him to Houston, didn't they? And
Correct.
then he came from Houston to New York.
He found out about the sticky stuff in Houston, man.
I don't know what it is. I just feel like we have a team on paper and it's just not.
Well, the Yankees and the Braves are parallel. They've had so many injuries.
Yeah.
So much stuff that they have a COVID outbreak, and so.
But the same players stepped up the season before, last season
Thank
when
you.
we was hurt. These
Tell
are the
them again,
same
Kevin.
players.
Ain't nobody
These are
trying
same-
to hear that.
These are the same
We ain't
players.
trying to hear that. We just suck. Tell them.
I came on this podcast almost in tears because I was so mad at them. I was like, oh my God,
Okay.
you make it so hard to watch baseball.
Oh, but see, that's another thing that the reason why it to me, I like watching baseball because if you look at it, Freddie last year, he was the MVP of the league.
Yeah.
And now he's getting, he's getting that, hey, you're the MVP. Everybody's bringing their best stuff to him. You watched the first inning the other day. DeGrom gives up a triple to Ari Adrianza and then throws the nastiest sequence of pitches he threw the whole game on one batter. It was on Freeman in the first, and then when he came up his next at bat, he was equally as nasty on him, and I was like, yeah, he knows who he is to get out in this order.
Right.
And he just started, that's one of those things. The better you get, the more those people on the mound realize who you are, and you're going to get their best stuff if they are a competitor. Now, there's some people on the mound that look up there and go, oh, my God, I'm pitching to Freddie Freeman, or I'm pitching to Aaron Judge, and they get, for the lack of a better term, tentative, scared, and they don't trust their stuff, and they end up giving up yaks that are 450 feet.
But they don't stay healthy. Stanton has to go. Stanton has to go.
That's been his MO since he was in Miami.
Yes, Jordan sent me a thing where he said something about, I don't know if it was him or Aaron Judge who said they frustrated too with being injured, and then they have like the best month. It was Stan. They had the best month of the season, and he told me like, look at your boy, they up now, but just because of him. I said I'm not happy because it won't last long. He's gonna be hurt. Literally a week later, he went on the DL. I'm like, see, Jordan, you can't get excited. Aaron Judge, for as many home runs he gets, he's gonna get 3-4 more strikeouts. Like,
Well, to be fair, I did send that in sarcasm.
That's the league now.
it's the league, but it's just like, it's unacceptable for a Yankees fan. For me, baseball is one of those sports, like Jordan said before. Like in basketball, football, if you don't like a team, you can still watch them and stuff like that. Baseball, if you don't like a team, you're not watching these teams. You only watch who you like.
Yeah, I can get
So I don't watch the. I watch the Braves at times because we here in Atlanta. I have to pay and search for the Yankees, and I do that because I like my team.
Hey man, shout out to T-Mobile. They give me free MLB TV every
You
year.
just told on yourself, and they took it away from you.
No, they do the little T-Mobile TV, the T-Mobile Tuesdays, and then they give it away.
You might have to send me that because I got T-Mobile. But like, it's just hard to watch them because I feel like we have too much talent, and the same players that was performing when Stanton and Judge was down are not performing now. And it's not like the Red Sox, the Toronto Blue Jays are just light years ahead of us. They're good. The Jays are good.
I like the Jays because they're young.
Right.
Okay.
And I think that they're going to be one of those teams that, if you look at it, they did a great job of acquiring talent, whether through the draft or through trade, and they built that team the right way. Yeah. So now the key for them is, can they keep it together and find the starters to make them into a legitimate playoff contender, because they definitely got the offensive firepower.
Right.
Yeah. They kind of remind me of the Astros before the cheating.
They always are cheating, it seems like.
They
don't get no respect.
They're still cheating.
They don't get no respect.
Yeah, I mean like the way that they put it together, it's not really like a whole bunch of free agents. Like they have one or two. I think Springer is one.
Yeah.
But
shout out to Springer. I'm mad. I like Springer, but he just on a cheating team, so you can't really give him respect.
Well, they're doing pretty good this year, so
I wonder why.
Until they say something, you've got to assume
they're done cheating.
Coach Chapman, they cost us a World Series. They cost the Yankees a World Series.
Y'all cost yourselves a World Series.
If they wasn't cheating, that was our year.
If they
I would
wasn't
be,
cheating,
I would be
y'all would've lost
okay.
in 7.
No,
right,
we would have won. I would have been okay right now with us being 41-39 if we would have won this World
So
Series.
the Yankees won those World Series with all those guys on steroids. Did they cheat?
A-Rod didn't do it.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Got to leave on that one.
Yeah, he said
It was just
he got
A-Rod.
suspended for a whole year.
It was just A-Rod. Who else?
Yeah.
Who else was on it?
Yeah,
Don't matter.
A-Rod was the only one.
Who else
doing
was
it.
on it?
Does
Don't
USC
say Mark Teixeira was
Does
on the
USC
Royals.
still have their championship?
Huh?
Does USC still have their championship?
Reggie Bush.
Because Reggie Bush was the only one getting money.
That has nothing to do with football. They finesse.
Kind of. We're gonna talk about it later.
We're gonna talk about it, but that has nothing to do with their team success.
Yes, it does.
The NCAA is a joke.
I mean, I agree, but I'm saying one player broke the rules, and then they had to give it all away.
What him getting money have to do? See,
A-Rod broke the rules, so y'all got to give it all away.
No, I hate that A-Rod even in that situation, because A-Rod's one of the greatest. He didn't even have to do that. I don't even know why.
He's one of the greatest now.
Neither did Bonds either.
Allegedly. We still don't have proof of
Come on,
Bonds.
man. I got pictures of Barry Bonds standing in the outfield when he looked like me. All right, and then that guy's huge.
But do you discredit those type? I'm not Mark McGuire type people.
All right, here's my thought process on the whole thing, and I know people will say this is the insanity of a thought, but if you're taking all of those supplements, okay, that supplement didn't hit that ball.
That's what I'm saying. I've been saying that for years.
Did the supplement help you gain 30 feet?
Maybe.
Some of those, but Mark McGuire was hitting the ball, into the upper deck in Toronto when the Rogers Center was open, and it was called Skydome. Him and Canseco were hitting the ball up there back in the late '80s. So if they were juicing then okay, they were. If they weren't, then I have a hard time with the whole they did this to get more power, because I watched those guys hit the ball, just absolutely flatten one side of a baseball. Now, do I like it? No. I hate the fact that the whole thing happened like that. I hate the fact that you had the home run race that was so fun with Sosa and McGuire that got tainted by it. I hate the fact that you had Rafael Palmeiro, involved in all that stuff, and just about, all that whole era of baseball. For now, they're taking all of the stats and throwing them out. And I'll say this, Bonds was a great player. He was a great player, and I don't think he ever hits that many home runs without it. But he got, because early in his career he hit some home runs, but he didn't hit he hit 73 home runs in a season. Think about that. This was a guy that was a 300 batting average guy before that, and he hit doubles, and he was a 30-30 guy. And later in his career, he goes from being a 30-30 guy to hitting 70 home runs. I mean, yeah. Now, you threw him anything over the plate at that period in time, you probably gonna watch it run out of the ballpark. Because if you look at those years, they walked him an insane amount of times.
That's probably why he did it.
Well, no, I think he did it because he was fed up. I think he did it because he was fed up with the way everything had gone. I think the Pirate situation with losing to the Braves when for one of those years in '91, the Pirates should have been in the World Series. I mean, but when you had guys, they were really, really good. We had Jeff King, Van Slyke, Bonds, really good pitching staff, really good manager in Leland, and I think he got to the point where he was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna leave my mark, and this is how I'm gonna leave it. I'm just gonna obliterate everything. And he did. I mean, he hit a ball in Atlanta one night, and he hit it into the seats. And I was like, that's death to a family of four out there in right center.
Right.
He got there so fast.
I think those type of players, I don't condone cheating, but like players like Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, them you can't deny that they were Hall of Famers even before that.
Think about you watching baseball today, and I watch every Braves game, and I watch Major League Baseball Network. I'm a baseball guy. All right, always have been. But you can look at the way the game was played, go back to when I was, 14, 15 and got really into watching Major League Baseball and understanding it. Because I watched it all the time when I was growing up. But when I could really understand, things like how to hit a curveball and how to keep your hands inside and go the other way. And I'd watch guys like Tony Gwynn hit. And Tony Gwynn was a master at controlling the bat. And that's why they didn't shift on him. So, but you watch the guys from that era, and they would hit line drives the other way. That would be in the gap. And then they changed the baseball. And you can't tell me they didn't. They turned the baseball into a Titleist 4. Yeah. Guys that hit the ball into the gap at that point in time, and it was a double, that's a home run today. I watched the ball leave the bat, and I'm thinking that's 2, and then I watched outfielders turn. I'm like, there's no way. There's been such an added emphasis on putting spin on the ball so that you can get lift and launch angle and all that stuff, that the game has turned into exactly what you said. The part of the game is it's a 3-outcome game. It's a walk, it's a strikeout, or it's a bomb. And it's not fun to watch. That's why, for the most part, this year it's been frustrating as a Braves fan. DeGrom struck out 8 in a row the other night. I mean, that's almost 3 innings when nobody put the ball in play.
Exactly.
And I realize that guy's unbelievable, but
come on.
Sooner or later you gotta fight back.
And they're crying about sticky stuff, which is crazy.
I'm just saying, man.
That's crazy.
Anyway, we're going to move on to our Genius or BS segment. The first topic we're going to talk about was Scottie Pippen. He said that Phil Jackson is racist because he called the game-winning play for Tony Kukoc as opposed to him. No.
That's why he said he was racist?
That's one of the reasons.
Basically, yes.
Yeah. I thought it was a whole deeper thing. I was about to defend Scottie Pippen. Now that you...
No.
But you don't really know that whole dynamic.
Yeah.
That may have been just the last straw.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of hard to throw that out there as a blanket term, though, because there's so many people that have love and respect for Phil Jackson. They call him one of the greatest mentors of all time. So
that still don't mean he's not a racist.
I agree, but the reason I say that is it's kind of hard hearing it when you have so many other influential people who say that he's not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That they had that type of connection. But I feel like since it can't. I think some of it has to do with Scottie Pippen finna release a book too. So he really just want to stay in the media. So I think it's. I think that part of it's genius, keeping your name out there. So, hey.
What they say, there's no such thing
as bad publicity.
Yeah. I mean, I can't, but you can't just call nobody a racist like that. So you know what I'm saying? Just like I was thinking it was something along like something deeper, a personal relationship with stuff like that. Because I was hearing why he waits so long. You can't just because nobody has to rush out that moment and say, "Oh, he's a racist." You know what I'm saying? Like, and when someone feel comfortable talking about something, they talk about it. But if it's something like that, then I feel like Scottie Pippen is on one because he was already on one going back and forth with KD, and like KD was on one for going back and forth with Scottie Pippen, but that's not here nor there. But I don't know. I think that's just very bold when you just come out and call someone a racist, and that's your analogy, your reasons behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and deny. And sit here and say I don't think Phil Jackson not a racist because his time in New York has definitely shown me that's racist tendencies with words he said, how he did Carmelo, how he did LeBron, how he just I can see it, but if everybody around is hyping Phil Jackson up and saying that's not his type of character, that's not his dude, that's not him, who knows? They might just be doing that because they won championships with him. You know what I'm saying? And just because Michael Jordan had a great relationship with Phil Jackson and Kobe, they were good. They were good boys to him. They won championships. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. You don't know. That's how he probably looked at them.
I agree.
So it could be he a racist, couldn't be. But I feel like if you're gonna make that statement, that book Scottie Pippen got better be very in depth. It better be very, very transparent on why you think that, because that's a real accusation to call somebody. You know what I'm saying?
That type of accusation ruins careers.
Yeah, I mean, unless you Trump.
Yeah.
But
hey man.
I mean, it kind of ruined him. He only got one term instead of two.
Coronavirus ruined him.
Hey man,
took the act of God.
I'm not gonna say it.
But I mean, I think it's some BS. I think it's just Scotty trying to sell his book. I'm not finna come up here and defend Phil Jackson because I don't know if he's racist or not. Like, you're not finna have me on the tweets when he finally do admit to being racist, saying, "Yeah, you saw what you was doing, caping for him." No, I'm not caping for Phil Jackson. I don't care one way or the other. I mean, I do feel like what he said about the dress code when about Allen Iverson saying that it was like thuggish or something like that. I can't remember the exact thing. But he said that it was kind of thuggish. I thought that was kind of racist.
That's not racist. That's prejudice.
Right, but I don't. Right, thank you. I don't feel like that
Still
makes
wrong.
him
It's still wrong.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But it's a big difference between racism and prejudice.
Exactly. I don't feel like that makes him a racist person. I feel like it can make him a bigot at the worst, but I don't think it makes him racist.
That would also be wrong, too.
Right. I mean, again, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying it's not racist.
He hovering close.
Right. It's semantics. It's semantics at the end of the day, but I don't feel like it's racist. I feel like at the end of the day, it's just Scotty trying to sell his book. Like, was he racist the first 3 games when he hit the game winners? Was he racist when he called up the plays?
Probably, but you been a good boy.
I know, but was he?
No, he's saying.
No, I'm saying was it racist when Kukoc hit the first 3 game winners? Mm-hmm. You didn't say nothing about it then. Yeah. Like, was it racist earlier in the game when he called up 2 plays for him and he missed both? And one of them, I want to say it hit the top of the backboard. Mm-hmm. Was that racist? He called it for you.
I feel like that's the wrong person to pull up though, because Kukoc was actually pretty good.
Exactly.
You know
there was a beef between Kukoc and Pippen because when Pippen was hurt, they brought Kukoc in and he kind of took.
He was like a number 1 pick or something like that.
He was, and
they went overseas to get him.
Yeah,
but he only started 8 games that season. Like, are we even gonna pretend like he was trying to make him great?
And
like,
again, Scottie Pippen led in every category but scoring. So Scottie, what you mad for?
Like, if he was trying to be so great, he would have put him in. I mean, he would have started him more than 8 games.
Okay. I understood Scotty's point. We're not going to get on the, I'm not going to talk about Phil or Scotty in the racism point because how will we know?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I mean, there's no way we would know. So that point is a moot point. That's how Scotty feels about it. So we're gonna let Scotty feel how he feels, and everybody else feel how they feel.
But
All
Phil,
right?
you gotta say something. You can't let nobody call you racist and
You
you
know,
don't say nothing.
Phil's out. He's doing that.
What do you want him to
that
do?
zen-
Say
that-
I have black friends? Like no. What did you want him to say? Like
you know, Phil's out there with that Zen Buddhism stuff. He's probably watching birds right now. But you know, here's what I got from it, and I'm gonna say this because you guys will all understand what I'm about to say. We talked about it earlier with Jordan, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Jordan's not there. All right, and so the Bulls. I can remember that year. I remember when Michael went to go play baseball, and I was like, "Well, okay, good," because the Bulls are going to be terrible, and they weren't. And Scotty was great.
Yeah, he that guy.
So Scotty was thinking, "It's my time."
Right.
And you can say what you want to about other chances and all that stuff. How many times they put the ball in Mike's hands?
At the end of the right.
Scotty's thinking, "This is my team.
Amen.
Put the ball in my hand."
Mm-hmm.
You don't have, and I realized it was a short clock and all that stuff, and it had to have a specific play, all of that stuff. But I understand Pippen's point of view, because if I would have been there and I would have played Robin to Batman, and now it was my turn to be Batman, then then the ship sinks or sails with me. And I understood it from that point of view. Now all the other stuff, hey,
He probably like, it's my time. You gave it to the white man.
If it's a regular season game, I got you. But I'm not trying to sync with you. No, I'm trying to win with him.
That's crazy.
No matter what race he is.
That's crazy.
But all I'm saying is, I get it. If you felt like he was racist, I'm not saying you had to call him racist then. If you had to wait, then wait. My only thing was he racist when you were an assistant coach with him in 2005?
Yeah,
That's all I'm trying to say, bro. Like
it's
it's kind of convenient how now all of a sudden he's a racist, but when you was working for him, you ain't had nothing to say.
Now that you are giving those facts that I didn't know, it looks bad for Scottie Pippen. But however, I can't defend Phil Jackson because
I mean, I'm not
sitting
here saying Phil Jackson isn't a racist because, like Coach Chapman said, I don't know, but. All I'm saying is this is kind of looking publicity-ish.
For the topic is BS for Pippen saying it because his reasons are horrible.
Yeah,
but I won't say it's BS for that topic because
if you wanted
Phil
to say
Jackson
he was
has
racist for something more specific than that, and you had like actual receipts, like I would give it to you. But I'm not. I mean, I don't care. Like if he's racist, then that's bad. I'm not sitting here saying like, I'm not finna sit here and defend a racist. Like if he's racist, then we got to change what we're talking about. But right now, I didn't hear anything that you said that could make me believe that he's racist, other than the thing that he said. But again, that's not racist.
That's a good one though, Jordan.
A bigoted mindset, an old white man's mindset.
When you said, was he racist when he was a coach?
Hey man, Coach.
He's not old.
Coach.
He's not old.
Coach Chapman not old though. Like that's the thing.
Y'all didn't see his face. I caught him.
Nah, but I said you got a great point when you made that when he was a coach with him in 2005. I didn't know that. So you played with him for numerous years, and then you rejoined his coaching staff. If he was a racist, why would and that Kukos thing was when you was at the Bulls, and then 10 years later you joining his coaching staff.
All I'm saying,
what does that show? That makes your argument weak. You know what I'm saying? Unless you would have talked about things that he's shown while being a coach in the NBA that we know of, that we might look at and explain more into that and give examples of how that relates to whatever in Chicago. But you can't just use that. Doesn't Scottie Pippen look crazy?
All I'm saying is, if I knew somebody was racist, I'm not saying that they should be the coach of the Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And he said that they should hire him instead of Frank Vogel. So I'm just saying,
You're looking silly, Scotty.
It's not looking good for you, Scott.
You're looking silly, Scotty.
That man Scott is on something or whatever KD said.
However, you was right about KD.
No, he was not.
Yes, he
But
was.
what's the
What
next?
happened?
What's the next topic?
Okay.
You ain't know that one?
We talked about it.
We talked about it last week,
I
but you
wasn't
weren't here.
He was right though.
He wasn't.
Anyway, our next Genius or BS segment, Kevin alluded to it earlier. Reggie Bush. First of all, I never stopped counting him as the Heisman. We all saw, nobody really cares what the NCAA says, but basically the Heisman committee said that they'll give him his Heisman back if the NCAA reinstates the records. First of all, like I said, most people who watch that year, we already know what happened, so nobody really cares.
YouTube.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if Reggie Bush was a household name, and this is going to get into what we're going to talk about at the end, Reggie Bush was a household name. So if the nil law that they have now was in effect, Reggie Bush would have easily been one of the top earning college football players of all time. But with that being said, how y'all feel about? I think it's BS that they took the Heisman in the first place. So that's what I'll say.
Give that man his trophy back.
I'm saying
Everybody saw it. Everybody knows.
Right.
And you know, we can talk about selective governance of the NCAA. They took an ACC championship trophy away from Georgia Tech for $312 worth of goods. Think about that. $312. They said, "Hey, this guy's an ineligible player." So they stripped them of the 2009 ACC championship trophy. So everybody sees what's happening right now with the new ordinance coming down. I just saw where an incoming freshman signed a $2 million. Dude hadn't played in college yet. He signed a $2 million.
Master P kid at Tennessee State.
Think about if you're a senior at Tennessee State and this dude comes in with this. You might feel some type of way about that, right? But the point being is this. You know, like you said, I like when you saw Reggie Bush, you're like, that guy won the Heisman Trophy.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I know. I can tell you right now that there's a lot of people, if they wanted to inflict that rule of taking the Heisman Trophy,
Johnny Manziel.
there'd be a lot of Heisman trophies that ended up on the shelf somewhere that weren't with the person that won them.
Right.
All right. So, you know, give it back to him, man.
Exactly.
Johnny Manziel recently said he made over like $135,000 in college when he won the Heisman.
Absolutely.
Nobody, and he done said it. No one ever thought about taking his.
If you went back and looked in the all right, so I'm not gonna call anybody's names out because I ain't that guy. All right, but there are shut your mouth. But there are people that have gone to play college football that have been exceptional college football players, and if you think that they are not getting something, then I have a bridge.
Let's just say
We know.
I went to school in Tuscaloosa my freshman and sophomore year, so I already know.
Hey, man.
There's no way a college student is driving a brand new Benz, bro. There's just no way.
Or got real chain. Like, I'm not talking about like
real chain.
I ain't talking about like no small real chain like this that we
Rapper
all get.
chain.
I'm talking about rapper chain, Cuban links with your whole name in it, spinning all in it.
Hey man, I'm not gonna say no names, but I remember going to the PE office,
You know what I'm
seeing
saying?
Coach Saban in the office, and thinking, man, I wonder who finna get paid today.
Nothing ever happened at that school.
Exactly.
You put that on.
Yes. Nothing ever happened.
Nothing
Hey
happened.
man,
Nothing
I didn't
ever
see
happened.
nothing happen. I definitely didn't
But
see
you
nothing happen.
insinuated.
I didn't
That's
see
just
nothing.
wrong.
Hey man, I'm not Rush Probst. I'm not snitching. All I'm saying is,
Coach, you was probably
I
like,
know-
this damn duck.
But hey man, I don't want to sound like a hater. And before I do say this, I would love to see Reggie Bush get his Heisman back. I feel like he deserves it. He played the best that season. But I could understand if he doesn't get it back, and I can see how it would be a slippery slope. Because of the way the Heisman said it, like they would have to reinstate his season for him to get his trophy back.
Yes.
So basically, if they do that, it would, like Coach Chapman said, what would stop that Georgia Tech team from wanting their seasons
It's already
reinstated?
started.
I know. I'm saying that's why I say it would be a long, slippery slope. So I could see them.
Okay.
It shouldn't be
Instead
low.
of-
It should just be the right
I mean,
thing.
I understand that. I'm not saying what they should do. I'm saying what I could see happening. I could see them saying, well, instead of overturning all of these, we're just going to not give any of them back.
That's
I
what-
feel like that's more likely to happen.
That sounds like the legalization of marijuana. They're gonna legalize weed and say all y'all who got arrested before then, y'all gonna stay in there though. You can't just go through this whole thing and let all y'all.
I mean,
out.
you're not.
We
you're
wrong.
not
We wrong, but we not gonna fix it because that's a lot of work. But
You're
it's
not-
legal now.
You're not wrong, but
You have a point.
how long has that process been going on though?
I mean, but they haven't
Did they
even-
immediately get out?
That they ain't even legalized it everywhere. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna be the same thing. Like if you don't
I mean-
reinstate Reggie Bush, that Georgia Tech, if you don't reinstate them, what is the purpose of like all of these people now? All of those people back in the day gonna look at all of these people gaining a whole bunch of money and getting off their likeness and stuff like that and going off and stuff while they sitting there looking like, I don't have my Heisman. My season was invalidated. That's unfair to us. But you admitted to being wrong, fixed it, and not still fixing
All
it.
right, so I know what Jordan's saying, and I'm not going to believe I say this. You know what? You make a great point. And here's the reason why. What they could say is that your name, image, and likeness is something that took place off of the field that doesn't have anything to do with your recruitment, and that this was specifically done for your recruitment in certain ways. So no, we're not going to give you your trophy back, even though we all know exactly what's going to happen. I mean, there's been reports of teams telling boosters, hey, all the players' DMs are open. All right, if you want to send them money for sending you a shout out on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, you can do that now. Whereas there are no more $500 handshakes.
Right.
Now we can send it to you legally.
Right.
Because I've been around some people that gave out some $500 handshakes.
I learned about that from that foul play video on YouTube. That was excellent.
Hey man,
Shout out
I'm
to
not
the back.
saying that I've seen some people
Just ask Tennessee about it.
love a school, just love it. Like, I can't wait to go to that school. Then right before signing day, nah, I ain't going there.
I just feel like none of that has to do with your play on the field, your team success. If you're gonna suspend someone or fine them something for doing something like that, that's understandable. But telling someone your hard work, your sweat, your blood, your tears, your dedication on that field, just because you got some money coming to that school, just because they gave you money and you came to that school doesn't mean you was going to be good, doesn't mean you was going to play, doesn't mean your team was going to win. None of that. You went out there, you put yourself in that position to win a Heisman, to get your team to a national championship. That's unfair for them to tell you that your stuff don't exist.
Think about Todd Gurley and A.J. Green. Both guys at Georgia, and I'm not a Georgia fan, but they are exceptional players, correct? Right? They both were suspended and lost games because of jersey sales, correct?
Right.
What's any different now?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Nothing. I can't
Braxton
wait.
Miller as
I can't
well
wait to be
from
able to
Ohio
buy-
State. His was tattoos, I believe.
Tattoos, yeah.
He got free tattoos or something like
There
that.
were 5 guys at Ohio State that got free tattoos. You know
Oh, yeah, he tried to. He was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go to the draft." Prior,
Yeah. No. Braxton Miller got into something and tied into Terrell Pryor.
yeah, Terrell Pryor tried to go to the draft early, and
that-
he had to go to the supplemental draft.
And all it does is, and if you do that route, if you try to escape that route and try to just go to the league, your school gonna suffer from
Right.
your past mistakes and stuff like that. I just feel like the NCAA is horrible at giving out penalties, and they penalize the wrong people and the wrong things. Just like even this is not about the funding, but the Jerry Sandusky thing, like all of that, they penalized Penn State years after that. And those players had to suffer. Some people couldn't get scholarships off of something that happened that had nothing to do with them.
Fixing to happen at Michigan and Michigan State, too.
That's unfair.
Ooh, yeah, I forgot about that.
They pulling Sandusky's up there too?
Yeah.
Not the same way. It's a little
It's
bit
different, but same. It's kind of like
It's
what's the dude's name from the from the
Yeah.
Olympics?
I'll give you an example.
It's kind of like the Olympic dude.
The doctor
Which
from
one?
the Olympics. I know.
Can't
who
remember his name. Coach Chapman won't tell me.
Since we out here talking about
Nobody's sending emails, text messages, tweets, whatever, hate mail. I'm not getting none of that stuff. They can send it all to this guy.
Okay, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was basically like that. He was a kid.
Since we out here talking about NCAA picking and choosing what rules they gonna apply, how did Justin Fields get a waiver to Ohio State, but he didn't have to send out the transfer year? Anybody?
Because he got a waiver.
I'm saying, where did the waiver come from?
You didn't hear the story.
I want to play waiver.
There was some issues with some fans at Georgia that said some
The baseball player.
less than flattering.
Yeah.
So did
I
they
remember.
pull off? He pulled the hardship thing.
Yep. Basically.
I mean, yeah.
Ah.
I mean,
But yet his sister still plays softball for
hey,
Georgia.
now, that's a whole different.
His little sister goes to Mount Perry. Shout out to them.
If it was such a hardship, wouldn't you think everybody would leave?
Hey man,
I just
didn't I
think
say
it
that
was-
about Scottie Pippen a couple of minutes ago?
It was more of they like.
Y'all gonna start talking about old white people again.
Hey, man.
I think Phil's just seen Froms in front of him and realized
Hey
I'm
man,
not getting in.
he saw the boosters have From in front of him, and he realized he wasn't getting.
He
in.
felt like Tom Brady.
That's an
You gonna stick
entirely-
with this month?
Okay.
That's an entirely different topic that you could talk about for years.
Hey, man.
And that's why Georgia can't win anything. Go
Hey, man,
Gators, y'all.
okay. That good
Roll
old
Tide.
boy program will get you nowhere.
Lose the championship in your own stadium.
Anyway, we're gonna move on to our fight bike segment. I know you're ready for this, Coach Chapman. The shift. I hate it. I think it's stupid. I ain't never played in it. If you you line up where you line up, and it's the batter's job to hit it where you aren't. But
Okay.
I'm sure you like this shit.
All right, what did we talk about earlier about coaching, right?
It's all about what doing what your players do well.
Okay, so if we look at this, if you're a coach and you have the opportunity to help your team win a game, okay, and I'm gonna speak on this on two things because I was a college baseball player, so I can remember we were playing at Lovejoy, and we were playing a particular team, and we're getting handled pretty good, and a kid from East Coweta had hit 3 balls. And all 3 of them were just rockets right up the middle. So the first time he hit it up there, I said, when he came up next time, we have our charts in the dugout. So I'm like, telling the second baseman, move up here. He hits the ball up the middle, right behind second base. So the next time he comes up, I'll move him a little bit closer to second base. He hits it right over second base. So the next time he comes up, I'm pretty much fed up. And I was like, just stand behind second base. And he hits a line drive in the same spot, and he catches it for out 3. And somebody said, why didn't you just do that the first time? And I started laughing. I was like, well, if I knew where he was going to hit it. But we had 1 game worth of information.
Right.
Actually, we had 3 at-bats worth of information. Coaches and managers, bench coaches, infield coaches, when they sit down and meet before a series, and you got Snicker and Ron Washington and Perez and Walt Weiss and all those guys in there, they know the spray chart for everybody on that team. It would be a criminal act for them to say, this guy on the ground, he hits 97% of the balls that he hits from second base to right field. So let's just play him straight up. Yes. That would be a criminal act. Okay? And I get on, and there's somebody will beat the shift once every 3 or 4 games. And every once in a while it happens a little bit more often. Somebody gets beat by a fastball really bad, or they get jammed really bad, and they hit a 79 hopper out there, and I'll tweet, the shift got us. But in all honesty, shifting like that is a brilliant way to put the batter in a mind frame of, there's an entire area over here where nobody's playing me. Okay? So I'm Freddie Freeman. I'm the MVP of the National League. And y'all said this about just bunt. You remember when you said that?
That's what I would do every single time.
Okay, you would do it every single time.
Every single time.
Okay, so if I'm sitting in the other dugout and Freddie Freeman can change the scoreboard with 1 swing of a bat, or he can bunt and get a hit.
That's weak.
No, it's not weak.
That is weak.
Brilliant.
That's weak.
All right, so, okay.
Bro, play me straight up, bro. Stop trying to cheat.
Or you become a better hitter and learn how to keep your hands inside the ball.
And then bunt.
Or just hit a ground ball. Yeah. You guys understand it.
I mean, but
But
okay, when I say bunt, I mean like push it.
Here's the thing
in that one specific. I don't mean like literally bunt, lay the bunt down.
I understand, but here's the thing that kills me about it, and I was watching it the other night. They shift on somebody, which means that they think they're going to pull it. All right, and then every pitch they throw is away.
Right.
Yeah, you have to pitch into the shift, which is
But-
another reason why I hate the shift. If you're gonna shift right. Like, don't pitch out of the shift. You defeating the whole purpose.
But here's the thing: I watch professional baseball players every night. Know that someone's shifted on them.
Still try to turn.
Know they're getting pitched away, and still hit a ground ball right into the shift because they roll over on it, and it's because that's what they are conditioned to do, and that's why we can argue the shift all you want to, and I always, I relate it to different sports. If you're a defensive coordinator and Julio Jones lines up out there and you decide to single cover him, you coach for the Panthers and you give up 3 bills.
Yeah.
And that guy that covered him got fired on Monday.
Yep.
When it should have been the entire defensive staff.
Yeah.
Because they put that guy in that. I mean, it was like Matt Ryan was like,
Easy.
bam. I mean, I remember that game thinking,
I do too.
are they not going to change the way they're playing this? And just thinking, this is ridiculous.
It was only on 12 catches too.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
were in
but
Chicago that day.
he was just running wide open. There was a 3rd and 22 where he ran a little stutter and go, and he was 35 yards away from everybody. And if Matt didn't throw the ball inside, it's a wide open touchdown.
That's
He
your
ran him
man's.
right back into the.
I already
to the
knew where he
safety.
was finna go with it. I
That's
already
your-
knew he was
That's
finna
your
say.
man.
Hey man.
Hey, but
It's gonna be hard finding a quarterback better than him right now.
well, here's the thing.
Excuse me?
We're,
For them,
hold on.
for him.
We're going
for
to
them.
talk about the Kyle Pitts draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I won't say what I'm going to say, but think about it this way: if you were allowed to play any defense you wanted in basketball when Jordan was playing, and you decided to not double him, Bill Cartwright would have had to score 50
Oh yeah.
because the guy covering Bill Cartwright was going to be, in some way, shape, form, or fashion,
Double
half
him.
responsible for Michael Jordan.
Right.
All right, and if the Hawks were playing and Dominique had his signature move where he dribbled up to the elbow and spun and shot the bank shot, somebody's coming from the baseline side waiting for that spin move.
Yep.
All right, but you couldn't really do that because they had the old good illegal defense. They changed it, and now it's what, defensive 3 seconds. You can't stand.
But nobody was complaining about that. I'm just saying we got to keep it consistent.
Are these guys not the greatest at what they do?
Brian, I'm just
Are
saying.
these guys not the
is the
greatest?
pitcher not the greatest at what he
Exactly.
does? Okay, then. So
So-
pitch better. Stop trying to get all this help.
But it's a strategy though.
Yeah,
Why?
it's-
It's a strategy. It's not like it's a cheating thing. Like
Yes, it is.
No,
All right,
it's
you
not.
Putting all the
cheating.
people in
Okay.
one spot.
So
Like, how's that not cheating?
making a wall for Giannis because he can't shoot, that's not cheating.
What?
What? Yeah.
That was
Yes,
a bar.
yes,
That was a bar.
What? I didn't hear what you said.
making.
I literally asked what y'all say. Oh, he got him. I
You
didn't hear what he
You
said.
said making a wall for Giannis because he can't shoot. Is that cheating?
No, it's not cheating.
All right, so
Literally, all you got to do is put one person in front of Giannis. They choose to build a wall.
All right, so let's do this. Major League Baseball has acquiesced to fans, and this is something that I hate more than anything: the 3-batter rule. Okay, you're going to speed up the game by saying you can't go right, left, right out of your bullpen in a crucial spot. So you've got to manage, and I understand it's all about what you just said. It's a strategy. You've got to see who what bullpen guy you can bring in when they've set their lineup up. So like last night when the Braves went to the left-handed pitcher, and I'm trying to count who's in the lineup after him to know when the next right-handed batter's coming up to hit a home run off Minner because he won't quit throwing cutters inside. And I'm going, he better get this guy out. Or when Luke Jackson comes in and I know every pitch is going to be a slider, when's the next left-handed batter he's going to face because everything he throws breaking in on the left-handed batter. So they've taken the manager's ability to match pitchers with hitters away by saying, hey, you've got to pitch to 3 batters unless it's the end of an inning, right? You can only have this many mound visits. They're going to take the shift away.
Yeah.
They're going to make it where, and they're not going to take a complete shift away. What they're going to do is they're going to say, you have to stand on the side of second base that your position starts at. So there will be no more of this. the shortstop standing at second base,
Mm-hmm.
and the
I'm
third
fine with
baseman's out in the outfield, but they'll have the shortstop sitting right here and the second baseman over here, and there'll still be a gigantic hole, which is how they try to play Freddie.
Yep.
All right. The point being is that if you're going to take away all the tools that a manager has to make his team
Manage better.
manage better,
Manage
With
better.
no tools.
With no strategies, you
No,
can't
no.
do nothing.
Back to the block, back to the booth, back to the basics. Whatever.
All right, so let me ask you a question. All right. If we're going to do that, then managers and pitching coaches shouldn't be able to call pitches.
Mm-hmm.
All catchers should have to call pitches, which means you now are responsible for picking somebody with an extremely high baseball IQ that understands every batter and pinch hitter. Take that away from them. You're going to limit the number of mound trips. You're going to limit the shift. You're going to limit the people that you can match up. Limit everything from the bench.
Mm-hmm.
You can't call pitches from the bench. You can't call signs from the bench.
Hey man, if that's the end game for no more shifting, then so be it.
But I don't feel like that's a problem in baseball though. I don't feel like
It takes away from all these
The problem in baseball, in a word, is that people have stopped teaching location and they've started teaching velocity.
You're not
They've
wrong.
stopped teaching how to hit the ball to all fields.
Just
and
hit it
they've
out.
started teaching how to get distance on the ball. It is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I see it all the time. It is ridiculous for a kid that weighs 100 pounds that's in the 8th grade
trying to hit home runs.
to come up and have a swing that is a swing destined to put backspin on the ball, because what you're teaching that kid is you're trying to get lift and elevation, and if the swing plane is at a certain spot, in order to hit the ball perfectly, you've got to get to the spot at the same time.
Yeah.
Whereas when I grew up, when my brother was growing up, when we talked hitting, when I was in college, everything was about keeping the barrel in the zone as long as you can and hitting through 3 baseballs to hit line drives.
You said that a lot during practice. You even made us practice
Yeah, we'd have that.
aiming
that's right.
to different parts of the field and
Hey
stuff
man,
like
I
that.
knew for a fact if you went up there during batting practice and didn't try to hit opposite field,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Well, I mean, you got to realize that there was one time where I was really frustrated my first year as a head coach, and to this day I think about this and think about the disaster that it could have been. But I had a kid. One of my assistant coaches went up behind the L screen, and we were talking about hitting and run. And I was standing in the box, and I had a bat in my hand. I was talking about how to move up, back up, get it to where you hit. And the coach threw a pitch, and I swung and hit an absolute rocket right between the hole in first and second. And all the kids that were watching it were in the field. So if I would have pulled that, I would have killed somebody. And I didn't even think about it until after. I was like, yeah, that's probably stupid. That's probably stupid. And all the kids were like, wow, that was awesome, coach. I was like, yeah, it wasn't really. It's just really dumb. But point being is that was the way we were all taught. We were always taught, when we took BP in college, and I played with guys that could hit it out of the world. But everybody, bunt for a base hit, push bunt. Then it was, hey, there's a runner on first, hit and run. And when you were in practice, that ball was on the ground going to right field. Then there was a runner on second, and the coach would say hit behind, and you hit a ground ball to second base to move the runner to third. Then when the runner was at third, they would say drive him in, and your job to drive him in was to stay in the middle of the field and either hit the ball, a ground ball to second, a ground ball to short, or to drive a fly ball to center field. And that was how you worked on that. And every time we swung on the tee, it was, you start off and everything's away. Hit everything away. Don't worry about pulling it. Your hands will react. Stay inside the ball and hit everything away. And that was what I did my whole life. You could throw me down and in, and I could hit a line drive to right center because that's where my hands were naturally inside. And I think now that a lot of that is, hey, when they throw, and this is not wrong, it's just different. All right? The ball's down and in, open the hips, drop the barrel on it, and drive it out of the park.
Yeah.
And then we worked on 2-strike approach, spread out, move up on the plate, challenge the pitcher. If he throws it inside, take it. Go to first base with a hit by pitch. All right, accept it, enjoy it. We always called it Granger ball, because if you played LaGrange High School and it was 0-2, they were leaning out over the plate. They were forcing you to throw the ball away, And they knew if he comes inside, I'm going to first base. And we saw it a lot. I mean, and it was one of those things, it was frustrating, but it was great baseball.
Yeah,
Now-
Jordan, just love the rule.
Nah, it's some poop.
It's some poop.
It is some poop.
That's your student, coach.
No, I understand. let me ask you one more question about it. All right. It's Game 7 of the World Series. Nobody out. 9th inning. Tie game or down 1. You come to the plate. All right. You're right-handed, right?
Right.
Okay. You are the potential tying run or winning run. You look up. The second baseman's on the left-hand side
Right.
of second base.
Right.
The shortstop's in the hole. The third baseman's standing on the line. The first baseman's over here, and up the middle there's an acre for you to hit the ball through. What's going through your mind?
Wait. Okay, so I'm hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Where's
the
everybody?
regular shift?
It is all right.
The
Here's
pool shift.
all right. You got second and third. You got a second baseman, a shortstop, a third baseman, and a first baseman right here. Here's second base. So the first baseman's right there. What are you thinking about?
I'm not gonna lie, Coach Chapman. I'm a very visual person, but I still don't get where they are. I think I need to see it like on a piece of paper.
All
or
right,
something.
look. Everybody. Lord help us, son.
He doing all of this just to say, yeah, he gonna want the shift,
Look,
No, I don't. I hate the shit.
and he gonna pull it.
There's second, third, first. Here's the plate, mound. Here's the second baseman, shortstop, third baseman, first baseman. Here's the center fielder, left fielder, right fielder. You've got this entire area to hit a ball through.
I mean,
What are you thinking?
it's runners on first and second,
There's
right?
nobody on.
Oh, nobody on.
You are you're either tied or down a run. Game 7 of the World Series. What is your thought process?
Hit the ball off the bullpen and run all day.
Yeah, I'm just trying to take it over the pitcher's head.
Okay, so that would be what I was thinking. What people in today's game are thinking is, I don't care where any of these guys are at or any of these guys are at. I'm trying to hit that joker out here so that we win or we're tied, and that's the difference. That's the reason why shifting, not shifting, it doesn't matter, because the game has turned into I'm going to hit the ball out of the ballpark, which is why when you start looking at stats for shortstop, second baseman, these particular players that when I was growing up were guys that were drafted, signed to free agent contracts, signed out of tryout camps. They were signed because they could run, they could play defense, and they could handle the bat. I can remember Jeff Blauser hit 3 home runs in a game one time in Chicago, and you would have thought the world ended because shortstops were hitting the ball in the park. And then some guy named A-Rod got drafted, and Cal Ripken was playing shortstop. They were anomalies, but you had guys like Rafael Belliard, Mark Lemke, Fernando Vina, guys like that. I mean, there were great players in the middle infield, but they were smaller players. They were fast players. They were there to play great defense, steal bases, gap-to-gap players. Now you look at Ozzie. Ozzie's 5'9", but everything he hits, leaves with a vapor trail.
That's like what's his name? Altuve too, right? Altuve like 5'5".
Yeah, but he's not 5'5" up there trying to flip it over second base.
Yeah,
he's 5'5" trying to hit it 40 feet into the outfield seats. So the point being is that the thought process is it doesn't matter if you shift or not. You get what I'm saying? The thought process in baseball, from a perspective of scoring runs, has got to change. You hear people talking about it's game 80 something for the Braves now. 83 for the Braves is tonight. All right, or a game 82 for the Braves. It's the start of the second half of the season tonight, so it's game 82.
Right.
All right. You go to game 82 in 1991, and they've probably got 10 times as many sacrifices as they have this year. And they weren't all pitchers. I can distinctly remember guys like Jeff Blauser sacrificing a runner from first to second in the first inning, or Mark Lemke sacrificing runners to second and third.
Hey man, Pache got a bunt this year.
So what you think is more of people trying to get their own stats more than team and fundamental baseball now?
I think the teaching in baseball has changed. All right, we went through it in football. We've gone through it in basketball. I can remember when basketball was set in how you played.
Throw it in the post.
There was the first play of every NBA basketball game was you threw it to the wing and went to the post. The post guy got a touch. He made a shot, or he didn't make a shot, but you got the post guy involved early.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that today.
Nah, they dribbling and
It's
pulling
5
up.
out, pass and cut.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's just the evolution of the game. I can remember when NFL football, the majority of NFL games were you're going to line up with a tight end, a split end,
Hand it off.
a flanker, a fullback, a tailback, and a quarterback under center, and that was going to be your base offense. And if you threw it, you were going to throw it off a play action, and then if you went to a multiple receiver set, then the tight end came out. Very seldomly were you in 11 personnel. Now everybody's base offense is a tight end, 3 receivers, and 1 back.
Mm-hmm. Pass first.
And and the reason you do that is because you don't want to play against base defense. You want a safety, or you want a linebacker taken out of the game, so you're getting 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 DBs.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about how you're looking at it, and all about how you're being taught. All right. If you weren't, people would still be running the single wing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why people aren't running the triple option anymore.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I could go to 1,000 kids in high school and say, hey, I want you to play quarterback in the triple option, and you'll get 10 that want to do it, and the other 990 are like, you're insane.
Right.
I want to throw the football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like Coach Hughes always used to say, if I give you a football at Christmas, you're not going out and practicing handoffs. You're going to go out there and throw it.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
so if you look at how baseball's being taught, I can remember growing up and everybody stood like this, back elbow up.
The trophy stands.
Trophy stand. Everybody was like, I can remember my dad when I was 5 was like, get your back elbow up. And then as we got older, and I can remember it still being a big thing when I was in high school, people in the stands, would yell, get your back elbow up. Well, the first thing you got to do to swing is
drop
this.
Drop it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I start like this when the first thing I do is this? All right? And then everybody went from being dead stop hitters. And if you don't know what a dead stop hitter is, you got your hands into what they call launch position, and you sat there, and then your hands went straight to the ball. And that's the way I hit my whole life. And when I got to college, Doug Smith was our hitting coach, and I could hit. I mean, I was a guy that hit over 400 just about every year in high school, and not by a little bit. And I went to college, and the first week of practicing college, I'm in the box and taking BP, and I'm like this, and I'm hitting everything. And he pulls me out and goes, you can't hit that way. And I'm looking at this guy like he's nuts. And he was like, you got to get your hands moving.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, you can't hit dead stop. Well, I'm stubborn. I'm 18 years old.
Yeah.
All right. And my first college at bat is against Kyle Farnsworth when he was at A-back. And he's gassing me up in the strike zone in pitches that I've hit my whole life and just crushed. He's throwing them by me. It took 2 at-bats for me to go, yep. And I probably should listen.
Probably should be moving those hands.
Yeah.
And so that was how it went from the evolution went from here to here, and then it got to on the back shoulder, lift up, and as the pitcher got ready, you pushed and you got everything moving, so you had some movement.
Because if you just in the standstill, you don't
Because-
have enough time.
Well, what it is guys with good fastballs will beat you, and then nobody wants to get punked by a fastball. Nobody wants to get beat by a fastball. You want to be the guy to go, hey, that guy threw 95 and I got 2 hits off of him. So you cheat. So dude's throwing 95, so the next at bat you cheat, you start early, you get the barrel to the ball, you get a hit, and the next at bat he throws you a curveball and you swing and break both legs. So by keeping your hands alive and by having a little bit of movement, then you're able to get on the fastball and keep your hands free, so that if it's something that changes, you just reset and swing. So it's like growing up, the things have changed, and we've seen the evolution from a run-based league in the NFL to a throwing league. We've seen a post player dominated league in the NBA to now a perimeter dominated league in the NBA. We've seen a small ball, steal, bunt, the 80s Cardinals and Royals, all right? And then you see, what LSU, they kind of brought it in and they called it guerrilla ball, because they were just going to kill the baseball and hit home runs, and they were going to mash you into submission. They weren't caring about bunting, and people were like, that will never play in the major leagues. And now in the major leagues, you watch a game, it may be 4-3, and nobody manufactured a run. Somebody hit a 2-run homer, 2 solo shots, and the other guy hit a 3-run homer, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's all about, the way things are being taught. And it'll shift. It always does.
But it seems like all 3 of the major American sports are trending in the wrong direction if you want to get technical. If you look at it.
It's become a more wide open thing. I think baseball has trended in the wrong direction because the home run chase with McGuire and Sosa made them say, hey, look, the home run saved baseball. And so then everybody
wants the home run.
All right. In basketball, when people started floating to the 3-point line.
What's Steph? Let's just.
But think about it. You can go back and look at final scores in the late 90s, and they're 87-83, and people are like, the game is slow. It's unwatchable. I can remember that. There was a 69-67 Knicks Eastern Conference Finals game where it was like a college game. People were playing defense. You got in the lane. You got wrecked. I mean, and you say it's going in a negative way, or or it's getting worse. The product is adapting to what people want to see.
We want to see defense though as well.
Now you do, so now it'll change.
I feel like it's a balance. We don't need to be out there punching each other inside the head like they used to do. But you don't need to let people. You can't just, if I do this to you, that's a foul. It's like we don't need that in baseball. We don't need all the extra cheating. We don't need that. We still need the shift. I like the shift. Like stuff like that. I feel like they trying to change rules in all sports that's gonna make it worse.
All right, I'm an Atlanta guy, so anybody that's watching this, hearing this, you can call me a homer. If you go back to 2012, and I remember everything. Don't I? In 2012, Falcons were playing San Francisco.
Oh boy.
All right. And in that game, there was a situation where San Francisco had the ball. It was 3rd down and long. And Kaepernick threw a pass. And you can go back and find it. I mean, this is not me making it up. You can go back and find it. And I believe the guy for the Falcons was Cliff Matthews. He's rushing the passer. And he gets his hands up, and he's getting blocked. And as he's getting blocked, he does like this. Kaepernick throws an incompletion, and his hand comes down, and one of his fingers hits the face mask of Colin Kaepernick. And that was a 15-yard penalty and a first down. Okay? That was hands to the face. Technically, it's right. Okay, so in the drive at the end of the game, where the Falcons are going down to try to win it, and they don't, there's a play where Ryan runs to the left, and he's throwing the ball to the left, and he's getting pressure. And the guy that hits him, runs him, has his hands all up in his face, not his face mask, and dumps him on his shoulder, dislocates his shoulder, and just mauled him. But there was no call on that. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How things are officiated is always going to be a point of contention.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't stand watching Major League Baseball because these poor umpires are having a rough year. And then you see plays like in Atlanta where the guy didn't touch home plate. Or you see plays where there's obvious evidence that someone is out and they won't overturn the call
because they pride too big.
And it just irritates me. Whereas, people are worrying about all these other things. We got to get the game back to where there's some semblance of a regulated.
Yes.
In high school, I understand it. You can ask anybody that saw us play when we were at Lovejoy. We got called for a bazillion penalties. They were normally in the second half, and it was normally when the game was out of control. And it was that, hey, they had a long run. Lovejoy had a long run. There's got to be a hold because this is their JV offense. So we would get all these holding calls. You go back and watch it, and they're not there, but they were just trying to keep us from scoring 60. It didn't matter who we had in the game. We always called it the let's keep the game close penalty. So, and it happens every year. It happened to me when I was coaching, and it happened against us. It happened to me when I was coaching and we weren't very good, where people would call a penalty. I'd be like, oh, now you call it. All right, I don't need your sympathy calls. That was you know, I get upset about things. You know, if you could call holding on every play.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right,
Really
you could call a foul in the NBA every play. All right,
pass interference every play.
yeah, exactly. So why is illegal contact called 7 times a year, and it's only called when it benefits somebody?
Yeah. At the worst moment.
Absolutely. You know, hey, look, did Robert Alford hold somebody in the Super Bowl? Yes. All right, so Robert Alford held somebody in the Super Bowl on 3 straight third downs against the Patriots.
I'm saying.
All right, but see, now here's the thing. The same year, Julio got destroyed in Seattle at the end of the game with an obvious penalty. That was no call. The next week, when the Falcons came home and lost to San Diego, when they drove down late and Ryan threw him a pass and his fingers touch it as he's getting hit before the ball ever got there, and the referee went and told Dan Quinn that the reason they didn't call the penalty was it was an uncatchable ball. And on the replay, you clearly see it hit his hands. Just all I'm asking is get the ones that you should get right.
I think that's
all.
the main thing too. I agree with you, Coach. That's my problem with all of the sports now. It's like they get the ones they should be worried about or should get right. They not focused on. It's the small stuff, the stuff that shouldn't be touched or changed that they're trying to change up.
You know, I know that. You know, I'm on Twitter and I go nuts about stuff during basketball games about fouls.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't disagree with what Joel Embiid said, and that don't make me less of a Hawks fan.
No,
They beat him to death.
Yeah, that dunk on him that John Collins did could be an offensive foul. He wrapped his arm around his throat and pulled him back.
In Game 7, there was a play where he came down the lane on the break, and Bogdanovich grabbed him. They didn't call anything. He went on and dunked it. And the referee was like, all right, cool. And then the other night, Gallo pump fakes the guy. Middleton runs into him. The ball gets knocked out. It ends up being a fast break for Milwaukee, and there's no call. So somehow, someway, there's got to be something.
Oh boy.
So you know, you got me off on my favorite tangent.
The refs need special classes.
Okay.
But you know, and then in their defense, let's think about this from this perspective. What did we always do before the season? We lifted weights so we could get what?
Stronger.
And
Bigger, faster, stronger.
there it is. So do you guys think that the sport, I mean, professional athletes are not there just because someone liked them. These guys are the cream of the crop.
Yes.
And it cracks me up because I'm just as guilty as anybody. Like, I'll watch somebody, this guy's awful. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, you played NAIA ball in college, big guy, and you just called a professional athlete awful. That's a nice job.
I mean,
You know, but it's a natural thing. That guy's terrible. He can't hit. Well, that guy's in the major leagues for a reason. Or that guy can't shoot. Well, he does something to get in the NBA.
Right.
You know, that guy can't play. Well, he's in the NFL for some reason.
Tell him again.
Hey,
Coach.
man, that's going back to that Kwame Brown
I was just about to say he wasn't trying to hear that when I said that about Kwame.
It don't matter. If you out there being sorry and we looking at it, we don't have to be in the lead to see somebody being bad.
You know, and all those things. That's the thing about.
That's why we love sports.
We do, and we are very hyper. You know, we can criticize our own players, but you better not come over here and criticize our players.
Exactly.
All right, because it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can bag on, Ridley or, whoever.
Acuna not running.
Easy on that now. Look, let's be honest with this. Okay, that guy right now is a special player,
Yes.
and I can understand. Here's some things. When I would talk to you guys, I would always tell you I was going to be honest with you, right?
Yes.
I'm going to be honest with you. If you screw it up, I'm going to tell you. That doesn't mean, and I probably fell at this. You know, I know I've yelled and screamed and hollered because I yell and scream and holler. I mean, that's the way I am. But for the most part, I do the best that I can to not ever say anything publicly, especially in the media, about one of my players, all right, or one of my coaches. When I was a head coach, doesn't matter the sport. When we won, it was never
Me.
what I did. It was a great job of getting them ready by the assistants because the assistant coaches do a ton of work. It's a great job by the players. As a coach, you deflect all positiveness from victories to the people that
Players should do that too, though.
But when it was a loss, it's always the head coach's fault. When they were talking the other night about Collins doing this and Collins doing that, Capella, and there's no energy. To me, as a head coach, the first person I look at is the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for a fact that there's no way that Nate McMillan went in there and said, tonight, let's just come out and play like trash, all right? It's the greatest comeback in the history of the world. We'll let Trey come back on Saturday night. Everybody, it'll be like, it'll be that old Knicks thing from the 70s. Here we go, baby. Trey saves us. He didn't do that. But, as a coach, you got to wear that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So when Acuna doesn't run to first base, the 57 times he hits a home run during the year and you don't say anything about it, you can't bag on him the one time it hits the top of the wall. Not publicly, anyway.
Yeah.
You can say, hey, Ronald, come here. Sit down. Hey, might want to run.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you're the teammates, it's the same thing. There ain't no reason for that. That's something handled behind closed doors. And I think, and this just
Tony La Russa.
This is just, hey, there's a lot more people in Atlanta that have said some stuff than Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa gets that angry old white guy.
Yeah,
Hey, man.
he is definitely an angry old white man.
So, but let's think about this, okay? My first year as a head coach. I came in at Lovejoy, and we had a team meeting, and the first thing I told him was, no team in this state. We may not be the best team in the state, but no team's going to play as hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you will not quit. And for 3 years running, we were 9-16, 10-15, and 10-16. And those first 3 years, everything was great. We played as hard as we possibly could play. We were in a tough region. The only time that I was ever mad with that first group of kids was we played on a Friday night, and the effort was terrible, and they looked like they didn't want to be there, and it was one of those things where I was like, this is not going to go unchecked.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the game, the next day was the prom, and everybody wanted to get out of there
Yeah.
and go to the prom.
So that's
It's
why.
something about Lovejoy players in prom.
And we went up, and y'all know how few times we meet
Mm-hmm.
in the field or in the building in the locker room.
Yeah.
I told them to take their stuff and go straight to the locker room. Do not talk to your mom, your girlfriend. And I handled everything
Mm-hmm.
out of the view of everybody else. And if you're looking at that, that's fine. If you're a parent and you want to publicly criticize me from the stands, that's well within your right. You paid your 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, whatever. You can call me whatever you want to call me. But I'm going to try my best not to call your baby boy out in front of you.
Hey, Dad, you getting on me, but Lord knows your son is not in. But I'm trying to keep it in.
Funny story. A couple years ago, my nephew transferred when I came to community. And he transferred from Locust Grove to community so he could play on the team his uncle coached. So, you think that's a great thing until you realize that now
It's even worse.
everybody in the family is going to be at the game. So,
Oh boy.
so one night we're playing and the first year was great. We destroyed everybody, but we lost a bunch of great players. So the next year we're playing and we're not nearly as good. But we didn't lose a game. Now, we went back-to-back years undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one particular game, the first half, we were down 17-0. But the entire first half, we threw the football. And I could hear this dude up in the stands going, just run the ball, coach. Just run the ball. And it was incessant. And my whole thing was, this team was better than us. I want to make them tired. So they're going to rush the passer, and they're going to chase these screens, and they're going to chase these slants and hitches, so that in the second half, the guys that we're playing up front will have a chance to block them. And so we're down 17-0, and I'm walking into the locker room, and somebody's like, Coach, who is that dude that's just yelling at you to run the ball? They don't know what's going on. And I'm like, don't worry, it's my father-in-law.
Amen. With that being said, we're going to move on to our pick to end this segment. With the new NIL ordinance being signed this week and going into effect, we're going to talk about which 5 players would have made the most off of if the name and image likeness was around. I say Reggie Bush, Zion. This third spot, I'm gonna pick two people who didn't technically go to college: LaMelo or LeBron, Johnny Manziel, and Jimmer Fredette. Shout out to Jimmer, bro.
Jimmer Fredette.
Hey man, remember that tournament run he had in 2011? 2011. Shout out to Jimmer.
That's a nice one. I say Jimmer Fredette, Tim Tebow, Zion, Gordon Hayward. Just off of the fact what he did for Butler, they was relevant just because of him. That would have got him a lot of money. What I'm on 4?
Mm-hmm.
The fifth one, it would have to be an Ohio State guy. I feel like Ohio State guys always have those type of people that can.
Oh yeah.
So I'll probably say like a Braxton Miller, JT Barrett probably wouldn't have made a lot of bank. Alabama, I wouldn't say Alabama. Nobody from Alabama, just for the simple fact that they already get privileges just for going to Bama. So maybe a Trevor Lawrence.
There's two gone, and no one's named the most obvious. So go.
Right, Trevor Lawrence as well.
Well, one would be probably Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
I would say that'd be the most. Reggie Bush would be 2. I would say Trevor Lawrence would be 3. Jalen Rose. I feel like that Fab Five era.
Like Chris Webber?
No, I feel like Jalen Rose had a little bit more clout. Like,
Webber was just big.
Yeah. Fifth, I think Prime is.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Carmelo too.
All right. Going from 5 to 1. Number 5 is Carmelo Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Bo Jackson.
Oh.
Number 3 is Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is Zion Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1 is Deion Sanders.
Yeah. Prime definitely would have had the
Definitely.
That Bo pick, I didn't even think about Bo because Bo played both sports. He already had, like, as soon as he got into the league, he already had multiple endorsements.
And nobody said this guy, but I think he would have made a ton of money just because he played both sides of the ball, and that's Charles Woodson.
Yeah.
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 Jadavion Clowney. And Manti Te'o as well. They would have made a lot of money.
Man,
Manti Te'o, that's Christian McCaffrey.
Okay, just some people that off the top of my head when I was thinking about, because I'm way older than you guys. So I was like Bo, Herschel Walker.
Ain't win nothing though.
Herschel did.
He won national.
At Georgia?
They won a natty.
That's
the only one.
I thought Georgia had no national championship.
No,
They won one. They have
won
none.
80.
They don't have none
Actually
of your
played-
lifetime. In my brother's lifetime.
I saw it.
Okay.
My grandmother's, grandparents on both sides. Now, you got to realize my dad's dad went to Tech, so that's why I'm a Tech fan.
Okay.
All right. But my dad's mom was a huge Georgia fan.
Uh-oh.
And my mom's parents are huge Georgia fans. So I grew up, I got to go to both places. So I was, I saw a lot of Herschel,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a big time.
He was that dude for real?
Him and, now look, you had in the SEC at that time, you had 3 guys. You had Bo Jackson, who was at Auburn, and he really came, into his own maybe a little bit after Herschel left. But you also had George Rogers at South Carolina, who was a Heisman Trophy winner, and Herschel Walker, who was a Heisman Trophy winner. So think about those 3 backs. So you had Herschel at Georgia, George Rogers at South Carolina, and Bo Jackson at Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that. Guys like, but guys, we there when you name 5, you're leaving. Like I would be leaving out guys like Charles Woodson because he played both sides of the ball. But then you got to also think like Jim McMahon would have been one of my lists, but Jim McMahon played at Brigham Young.
Mm-hmm.
So even though he was very outspoken and boisterous, I don't know how that plays at Brigham Young.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you got guys like, Keyshawn Johnson, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Carson Palmer.
Oh, Derek Carr.
Vince
Well,
Young.
No, David Carr. That's the older brother.
The older brother
The other
was but he was at Fresno State.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to look at where some of these guys played at.
Vince
Like
Young.
Carson
Vince
Palmer.
Young,
That
Joe-
Texas money hit different.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow would have made.
What's
bank.
And then if you go basketball, you can think
Colt
people
McCoy.
like Kenny
But they
Anderson.
had a whole family tree.
What's the running back name that went to the Rams? Went to SMU? Eric
Dickerson.
Yeah, he would have.
I would have thought. Yeah, Eric Dickerson. He made more money in college than he did in the NFL.
Yeah.
So
Probably OJ too.
I mean, that's how they got the death penalty.
but if you think absolutely, but the Pony Express. Baby. But
Hey.
think about it from, think about all these things, these name, image, and likeness stuff that people that we saw, like Vince Young, nobody said, but you're right. With him playing at Texas, that would have been huge. And then Sam Ellinger, whether you think he
Colt
was a
McCoy.
Colt McCoy, just for his name alone, he played at Texas, and his name is
Colt McCoy.
It's a Colt. That's a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna have gun marketing to buy a Colt.
That's a Texas boy right there,
Yeah,
true and
absolutely.
true.
All right, but then you have guys like Emmitt Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when Emmitt Smith was there, Cam Newton.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Cam Newton. What could Cam Newton could have made? He could have made more money in that 1 year he was at Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Tebow.
Cam Newton did make more money
I knew
than that
it.
one
Percy
year.
I knew
Harvin,
it.
Percy,
Fred
No,
Taylor.
but
Shout
then
out
you
to the
had-
Gators, Brad.
Then you had guys like Rocket Ismail at Notre Dame. Because he was at Notre Dame. You even said Manti Te'o.
Mm-hmm. Golden Tate.
I mean, Golden Tate's perfect at Notre Dame. They got golden helmets.
Yeah.
So
Pat White.
Pat White would have been perfect because he would have been some.
Got in the league and got a concussion and quit.
Well, did you see how it happened?
No, okay.
Just so you guys know, me and my brother-in-law went when in '99 after the Falcons went to the Super Bowl in '98. I got tickets. I went to 3 Falcons games that year, and it was brutal because Anderson got hurt on Monday night in Dallas. Chandler got hurt, and the whole thing that they thought was going to be a strength ended up being a huge weakness. But nobody knew that the greatest show on turf was going to happen because Trent Green got hurt, and nobody knew who Kurt Warner was. So we had tickets to the Falcons Rams, and we were sitting right behind the Rams bench, and they ran a toss sweep to Marshall Faulk, and he cut up in the hole, and Jesse Tuggle hit him so hard. I mean, so hard, and my only thought process was, there's not a way in the world that I would not get up, take my uniform off, go into the locker room, and never play again, because if someone hit me that hard, I would have no teeth, no bones. You just would have picked me up like a sack, man. It was, and he just jumped up like, this happens on, this is Tuesday. I was like, no way, buddy.
Hey, Pat White took your advice because he was solid coming out of West Virginia. People really liked him.
Yeah, I mean, think about, I was mostly football with mine, except for Zion. But there were also, what about Grant Hill? After he makes the dunk against
Christian
UNL,
Laettner.
Christian Laettner, Michael Jordan,
Anthony Davis.
Patrick Ewing,
Not to go back to football,
and
but
Allen Iverson.
those running backs
Oh,
at
yeah.
Arkansas with Darren
McFadden.
McFadden.
Run DMC.
Yeah, that boy.
Ooh,
shit,
when
that
that
would've
was the
been-
last time Arkansas was relevant, when Ryan Mallett. But
Yeah.
that was after.
No,
it
I
was
think that
after.
was before Mallet,
No,
Yeah, that was
wasn't
way
it?
before Mallet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did, because that was when our good friend and wonderful coach of the Falcons and
Bobby
and
Petrino.
and a great motorcycle rider, Bobby Petrino,
Yeah.
was coaching them. They won the Sugar Bowl that night. Ryan Mallett played.
Amen.
And then he went back to Louisville and coached some other quarterback.
Named Lamar, I have to believe.
Yes, absolutely did.
And didn't win nothing.
What
They're
is he
supposed to be
doing with
We
his
also
life
have to
now?
play defense.
You do.
See,
They're supposed to
we
be
can-
Clemson that year.
You say, here's the thing. I've had this conversation with 1,000 people. This person's not a great player because they didn't win a championship. Are you trying to tell me Lamar Jackson's not a great player because he didn't win a championship? Are you trying to tell me Dan Marino's not a great player because he didn't win a championship?
Dan Marino definitely, talent-wise, I'm glad you said that, because it's the same thing I feel about Aaron Rodgers. Me growing up, I feel like Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Tom Brady
Well,
and
you-
Peyton Manning. Skill-wise. He can't call the game like Peyton,
Oh,
and he's not
okay.
a winner.
That's a skill.
No.
The most important skill.
No, because you watch, you see how Patrick Mahomes is, how he is with the ball, how he throws it. We ain't never seen this before. Yes, you have. You've seen it with Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers just didn't have the talent that Patrick Mahomes had for a short amount of time in his career.
If you want to go back and talk about things like that, and I'm gonna leave Atlanta out of this. We're not even getting to that discussion because I'll die on that hill and I'll win because I will base mine on facts. But guys like Fran Tarkenton, he is Fran Tarkenton is
Shout out to the Vikings.
not any way, shape, form, or fashion would anybody compare Fran Tarkenton to Patrick Mahomes. But if you look at the way Fran Tarkenton played,
I thought he was like Josh Allen though.
no, Fran Tarkenton was just ran around and ran around and ran around. I mean, it was realistically,
Yeah.
he
Like
was
Russ.
all over. He was all. Nah, Russ is a completely different animal. I used to try to bag on Russ, but the more I watch him, the more I respect him.
Hey man, he's the GOAT. He's the best quarterback in the league.
Whoa.
Best quarterback in the league. I said what I said.
Whoa. Lamar
I don't
Lamar
say
is better than
Stop
Russ.
it. Stop it.
First of all, if we're going to be realistic,
Stop it.
Lamar is better than Russ.
Hold on.
Stop it.
Come on
Look,
now.
let me ask you a question.
Is it?
We put the. I don't think so.
Yes.
No.
But if we put this, if we said, if I said, all right, I'm going to let you pick the quarterback. All right.
Russ.
Okay. And here's the quarterbacks that you get to pick from. Okay. And if you say Russ,
Russ.
then you're wrong.
The answer is Russ.
All right. If I said, okay, you get to pick from these 10 players. All right. And I'm going to say Russell Wilson.
Russ.
That's number one.
Correct.
Okay. And I'm going to say Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Then I'm going to say, all right, so let's go Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson.
I might take
Let's
Deshaun
go
Watson.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Let's
Nah,
go.
I'm still sticking
Let's
with
go
Deshaun
Tom
Watson.
Brady. All right. Just bear with me. Let's go Aaron Rodgers. Let's go Tom Brady. Let's go Dan Marino. Let's go Joe Montana. Okay.
I mean, I don't have an educated opinion on them
All right,
because I didn't
so
watch. But
we can
out of the
we
ones
can
I did
take
watch,
the,
I'm still
we can
taking
take the
Deshaun
other
Watson.
4 out of that equation because they're not. If you were asking me who I would pick today to run an offense for one game for me, then it would always be Aaron Rodgers
Thank you.
because I would say that he's gonna give me a better chance to win because he's gonna protect the football.
Yeah, until he throws that pick in the NFC Championship, or until he
How many
nuts up in
interceptions
the.
did Brady throw in the NFC
Thank you.
Championship?
Brady wanted to give the game away. He wanted
Hey,
to
man.
give the game away.
Did he throw the pick right before halftime that gave him a short field to throw a
No,
touchdown?
did that guy get tackled running the route?
Thank you. Thank
Hey,
you.
man.
Yep.
Did-
yep. In English,
Did he
say
throw?
yes.
Did he throw the ball to a man that was double covered instead of the man that was wide open?
Devontae Adams
All
missed
right.
the ball 4 times. It's
Can
not
I
just
ask-
Aaron
Hey,
Rodgers.
man.
That's the wrong series. You're
Look.
the wrong series. That was
Hey, man.
That was,
Yeah.
Devontae Adams.
Okay.
I'm not absolving Devontae Adams of any blame,
Let
but
me
all
ask-
I'm saying is if Devontae Adams isn't open, don't
All
throw
right.
it to him.
So let me ask you this question, okay? If Russ didn't win the Super Bowl when he had the greatest defense in the world, and they played in the freaking freezing weather in New York, and Denver failed to show up, if he doesn't win that Super Bowl, because at that time, what was the calling card of the Seahawks?
defense.
They were the
Defense.
Legion of Boom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just they destroyed everything. They had a kickoff return for a touchdown. They got a safety. They had an interception return for a touchdown. So that right there is 16 points. Okay? And when you start the game off on the first snap and you snap it over somebody's head,
It's like
like, hey, okay, this is our game. We've been there. We know what it's like. Okay? I'm not saying that Russell Wilson, but in that game, who was the best player on the field for both teams in that Super Bowl? He came from the University
man.
of Florida.
sir.
All I'm saying.
Percy Harvin. You
Oh
remember
yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. He went off that game. Yeah.
All I'm saying is.
So if you look at it from
Percy Harsin could have won the MVP that Super Bowl.
if you look at it from a standpoint, if Russ got that Super Bowl and he won it the same way Roethlisberger won his first Super Bowl because he had the worst quarterback rating in some of those playoff games.
He was a rookie, wasn't he?
No,
That first run. I thought he was like
No,
a rookie
his-
year went 12-4. I think.
no,
And then-
his rookie year I think they only lost one game and they lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it was
So-
like a good year though.
But he had a rough Super Bowl.
Mhm.
And now he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. That didn't mean he didn't have a rough Super Bowl, and his defense won it for him. All right, and you talk about all these things. If let's just say that first Super Bowl with Peyton, comes down a little bit tighter, and it doesn't. Everybody's lasting memory of Russell Wilson will be throwing an interception on the 1-yard line.
But I don't think people
And
hold
everybody-
Russ to that. They hold Pete Carroll to that.
I agree, but I'm just going to say when you went back years and years and years later, they would say he threw an interception. The same way Dan Marino lost. He got to one Super Bowl and he lost to Joe Montana.
Yeah.
But now when you talk about everybody always talks about, well, Dan Marino was there one time and he lost.
Yeah.
It'll probably be the same thing for Matt Ryan. He was there one time and he
lost.
lost. And he lost the biggest lead in the history of blah, blah, blah. But nobody will ever say, what were the actual outcomes of the game and look at the actual stats.
Nobody do that. I have this argument with Jordan about this type of stuff all the time when it comes to certain players.
See, it's just like this. It's just like this. You can play good and lose.
They still blame
and
you.
You're still going to get the blame.
Oh, yeah.
So
LeBron's, the Aaron Rodgers, the
This man act like he played great.
all right.
Aaron Rodgers
2 for 11 in the in the red zone is great, huh?
So the year before, everybody was all on Freddie because he had a blown out elbow and he was trying to play. And then last year he had a pretty good playoffs. All right, and then the year before that, Ronald had a really good playoffs, and everybody was like, "Well, Ronald, he's the guy, he's that dude." And then Freddie shouldn't play because he's hurt. Everybody made that comment. Everybody made those things. The next year when Ronald was hurt, and it was obvious that he was hurt, people bagged on him. And I mean, it just goes to think, people will never understand what it takes to get to that point, and they'll never understand because most athletes are not going to say, "Hey, I'm hurt."
Yeah.
All right. I'm guaranteeing you right now that there's guys playing in Game 6 tonight in Atlanta that are all kind of banged up, and you will never hear about it. And if Giannis had hurt his knee and it wasn't something that we all saw, because that was hideous.
Right.
I was when it happened, I was like, ooh. And then I was like that. And then when they said there was no structural damage, I was like, that guy's made out of Play-Doh.
Right.
I mean, but when you look at it like that, all those years, when you go back, you find out, well, this guy played 18, 19, 20 games in the NFL season. And at the end of the year, he had to go have reconstructive surgery on this. And then this pitcher pitched this. And at the end of the year, he had to go
Tommy John or something like that.
Well, Glavine one year, he broke his ribs. And he had a couple of bad starts, and everybody was like, "What's wrong with Tom Glavine?" Well, he didn't tell anybody he had broken ribs.
Right.
And it came out. One of the teammates was like, "Y'all gotta give that man a break. He's pitching through injury." And I can remember thinking, he broke his ribs. How did he break them? Who knows?
Tom Brady played on a messed up knee this year. And B was just out there averaging 30 and 10 on a torn meniscus. You know what I'm saying? So
it happens, and no one ever knows it. You look at all this stuff that goes on, and the fact that those dudes are wrecking their bodies for people's entertainment and still getting the shaft is a bad look.
Crazy. Well, that concludes another episode of your favorite podcast, Not Another Sports Podcast. Remember, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon, and make sure you follow me on all those social media sites at Rob Was There.
Yeah, and this is Kevin. Make sure you follow me on Vice City Kevo, on Instagram at Vice City Kevo, and be on the lookout for new music, new material, new everything.
Yes, sir. This is Jordan. You can follow me on Twitter at @this_guy11, on Instagram _thisguy11. You can follow the sports pages on Facebook and Instagram at Not Another Sports Podcast, and on Twitter at N_A_S_podcast. Thank you for watching. If you watched us live on Cool Telly on YouTube,
yes,
you can follow us on all audio platforms by searching Not Another Sports Podcast.
Don't put nothing. You see that right there? Put that. Search that.
We are the only Not Another Sports Podcast.
Okay.
Don't let somebody else podcast fool you.
Yes, sir. And we thank our special guest, Coach Chapman, for coming.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Coach
Definitely
Chapman.
be at the Pike County and Spalding game in November. I already looked it up.
Yes, sir. We will
Yes,
be
sir.
there, full attendance. Not Another Sports Podcast will be live.
If we can get it out.
Tongue tied. I actually had an interview at the end of the game of the Hawks game, and I had popcorn in my mouth, and I embarrassed myself, and I didn't plug in Not Another Sports Podcast.
We're gonna fight him.
So I'm gonna work on that. So everybody, wash your hands. Black Lives Matter. Be safe and go Gators.
Roll Tide. 9 weeks. 9 weeks.
You ain't want to get a Go Jackets?
I was waiting for y'all to shut up. Go Jackets, go Hawks.
Ew.
Chop on.
Ew. I should have said go Canes if he said go.
They're gonna lose.
That man said, "Go Jackets, go Hawks."
When do we play Georgia
Go
Tech?
Jackets, go Hawks. I'm dead.
Isn't it 2023?
Something like that. What happened?
When do we play Tech? 2023.
I know we gonna beat them.
I know.
Right after Saban retires.
Even if Saban retires, we still gonna beat y'all.
Oh, you act
I'm
like
just
y'all got
saying.
some kind of voodoo.
We do.
You got the greatest coach in the history of college sports.
We have two things. The greatest coach in the history of college